only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, currently not joined by my co-host and brewologist, but we wish her well as she's recovering from
being too healthy.
being too healthy. Yeah, I got to take a page out
from living an active lifestyle.
Yeah, I got to take half a page out of her book. Steph, we wish you well. You need to get better soon because it feels weird not having you here. But we are joined by the demented and fermented.
I'm still here, Wayne Baker.
He's still kicking, literally and figuratively. Sorry, Steph, that wasn't a knock, I promise. But we have traveled far and wide today. It was an interesting ride to get here. But we came out to Honeybrook, Pennsylvania, which means we are at Suburban Brewing. Couldn't be happier to be here. The atmosphere is incredible. There are legit arcade games, which is driving me wild, and I need to play at least 3 of them before I leave. But we have 2 guys here who are kind enough to dedicate some time and some beer with us. Gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves.
Yes, I'm Eric Yost, owner of Suburban Restaurant, Suburban Brewing.
And
Corey Ross, and I'm the brewer and partner here as well.
awesome, gentlemen, thank you for having us out here.
Thanks for having us.
So right off the bat, I want to mention we have a sipping beer, and it's absolutely incredible. You guys started us with the American Wheat, right?
Yep, yeah. Okay, all right, our American wheat. So that's it's a version we kind of mix up the hops, so it's kind of evolves with each batch.
Oh, that's cool. Have you ever had different batches at the same time that you could do them like side by side? And
No, usually when one kicks, you throw the other one on.
that makes sense.
We don't want to mess up.
Really
mess with
nice though. This is really good. I love the first beer we have when we have a long drive to get to a recording. It's always nice to sit down and have a really good, like, refreshing.
Yeah.
Nice.
This hits
really
every
nice.
box I needed to check off for my first beer of the night, so thank you.
Especially because
Downhill from here.
Nowhere to go but down. Especially because like today's like the first day that it's actually starting to feel like fall outside.
Yeah, it feels good out there.
So I feel like not that a wheat beer is like a fall beer, but it's kind of like a transition beer, you know, because it's a little fuller, you know, it's got a little more body to it. So this is a nice way to ease into the fall as well.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Well, of course, for those of you out there in the podcast land, on the virtual world, if you will, the World Wide Web, as they call it, don't forget you can find us on the Twitter and the Instagram at Beer Busters. Facebook, we are Beer Busters Podcast, beerbusterspodcast.com. Don't forget that phone number, 805-991-BEER, which is 805-991-2337. You're slacking on the voicemails out
No
there,
new
everyone.
messages?
No new messages.
Oh, I'm upset.
Yeah.
You're making us sad.
Yes, but there is always, you can redeem yourself by not leaving a message by then going to Patreon.
Yes, I would prefer you go to Patreon before you leave a message.
I think I would too.
I'd rather you give us money. So yeah, if you want to be a patron of the podcast, get cool behind-the-scenes perks. The best, of course, is Last Call, the bonus portion of the podcast that only our patrons get to listen to. You go to patreon.com/beerbusters and give us a little scratch, as little as $1 a month, to help us keep the Beer Busters train running.
Yes, and Last Call certainly is worth the price of admission, but there are so many other things. You get your name read out if you donate at a certain level during or after a Happy Fun Time game, and you can submit questions. So we ask people, you can submit beer names.
You also get invited to secret basement gatherings.
Exactly. There's so many other perks, so check it out, patreon.com/beerbusters. Now, this is where we would normally do the news, but in lieu of that...
We made our own news.
We made our own news. For the next couple episodes, Wayne and I have a couple of phone interviews we were able to do with people from breweries, and not just breweries, tech companies that are
we have
involved.
a really interesting one coming up a few episodes from now that's about a company that does like nitro infusion equipment and
it was
carbonation
really cool.
equipment for breweries. So that's pretty cool. But today's interview...
Yes, today's interview is it's near and dear to our family's heart and livers. We got a chance to talk to Scott Ungerman, who is the brewmaster at Anchor Brewing, and got a little bit of tidbits and some information about a new beer that they have. So here you are. Enjoy. So Wayne and I are lucky enough to be doing a couple of phone interviews over the next couple episodes, and it's going to be great. And I'm very excited that this is the first one in the series that we're doing, because it's a brewery that is well known and well loved across the land. You know, if we're here in Philly and Reading, PA, we're talking to San Francisco right now, and it's a brewery that has a lot to do with a family tradition for us, which kind of makes it even better. We have joining us from Anchor Brewing Company, Scott Ungerman. Scott, how are you?
I'm great.
Cool. Thank you for taking some time with us. I'm very excited to have you on the show.
Fun to be here.
I guess we should probably start with a lot of history that Anchor has. The brewery's been around for over 120 years now, right?
Yeah, we trace our roots all the way back to 1896 here in San Francisco. The original brewery having been over on the other side of town and unfortunately burned down right after the 1906 earthquake, but then they rebuilt. And then unfortunately that one burned down too. And then they were shut down by Prohibition like everybody else. And then started back up and moved around the city a couple more times, but we found our current home here on Potrero Hill in the late 70s, and we've been here ever since.
Very cool. Now, how long have you been with Anchor?
I've been here about 4.5 years now.
Very cool. Had you had any brewing experience before joining Anchor?
Yeah, and I should start with my Anchor roots actually go a little deeper than that because I first toured this brewery back in the late 80s when I was going to college across the bay in Berkeley, and it was the first brewery I ever toured. It's the brewery that inspired me to become a home brewer and eventually to go back to school studying brewing. I went to UC Davis and I studied brewing there, and then I moved across the country to your part of the country, close nearby anyway, and I worked for Anheuser-Busch in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, that's not too far.
Yeah, that was my first job in a brewery, and I spent actually 18 years with Anheuser-Busch, 7 years in New Jersey, 2 years in Ohio, 2 years in St. Louis, and then they moved me back out to the West Coast, which for me was, kind of like a trip home, and I spent 7 more years eventually as brewmaster of the Fairfield Brewery in Fairfield, Northern California. And then I heard about this job 4.5 years ago and was lucky enough to have the opportunity to come work for Anchor. And, I didn't look back. I jumped at the opportunity because for me it was coming full circle back to the brewery that inspired me in the first place.
So that's pretty great. It's pretty awesome that, your first beer love is now you've come back and now you're making the beer that started the journey. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's almost serendipitous. That's really cool.
Yeah, I heard you guys say you have a family tradition with Anchor. Does it perhaps involve Christmas ale?
How did you know?
It certainly does.
because I have the same family tradition. I actually through all those years I carried my bottle collection around the country with me from when I was just a teenager. I started collecting bottles. And the Anchor Christmas Ale was always a really important one for me to have in the collection, and I have Anchor Christmas Ales in my own personal possession that I brought back here to the brewery that date back to the 70s that came from my dad. So, I get that, how Christmas Ale brings families together.
It certainly does.
For me, a really important tradition to pop that Magnum at Thanksgiving dinner.
Absolutely, yeah. We're kind of a family podcast. Dan and I are brothers, and our cousin Steph also does it with us. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but we do Christmas Eve at her place every year, and what we always look forward to is cracking open that year's Christmas ale. We do that and shots of Jaeger.
Shot of Jaeger.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a hell of a combo.
Not necessarily at the same time.
Right.
It's just at some point in the evening, each of those things happens.
No. You got to stagger those things.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Although, if I remember right, I think in 2017 we didn't get to have any of the Anchor Christmas. I think they had that before we got there.
Oh, that's right. We were late to the party that year.
Yeah, we were gypped. So now we got to go double hard this year with the 2018, which kind of begs the question: at what point does that get released?
It's a good question. It gets released generally on November 1st every year. There's that Christmas creep of coming earlier into October, but generally we like to hold back until November 1st, although I'm sure there are certain outlets that get it a little earlier. We make it a lot earlier. We start making it, in the late summertime. We actually have to ship our first shipments every year since I've been here, and it's been years before that, but every year there's a big shipment that goes to Sweden.
Oh, wow.
Because apparently they're just crazy about Christmas ale in Sweden, and we have to ship that in mid-August, so it can get there in time to be on the shelves in Sweden.
Wow.
So we start making it fast and furious. This time of year, we're making Christmas ale like every other day.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a big part of our seasonal agenda. It's a really fun beer to make.
Yeah, so if you're shipping that in August, at least you aren't as early as the pumpkin beers, which are probably already on the shelves in August.
Yeah, I know, and we don't make a pumpkin beer, but I get that. I think November 1st is right about the right time.
Yeah, to me that's when the Christmas mood starts to hit. Yeah,
we saw a lot of Christmas ale in Pennsylvania. For some reason, you guys just seem to gobble it up. I looked at that the other day.
Now, the big reason that we're having you on is Anchor has a new beer to the portfolio that you guys are starting to promote kind of hard. It's the Fogbreaker IPA.
Yeah, it's a really nice IPA. I actually just poured myself one because I knew you guys wanted to talk about it. So I've got one right here in front of me.
I'm kind of jealous. We since our co-host Steph had the samples that we were sent, but since she couldn't be here, Wayne and I are drinking water instead.
Oh, wow. Well, that's disappointing, but I'll tell you all about it, and hopefully Steph will come through with those samples.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to crack them open on the next episode when we splice in this interview. So we'll at least be tasting it then.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this is I think it's a really monumental beer in our timeline because, as we mentioned earlier, we've been around for 120 plus years brewing beer here in San Francisco, and in all those years we've had at least ever since we moved into this building, we have this beautiful tasting room that's right adjacent to our brew house, and it's a tasting room for tours, and we pour samples to people there, but it's not a bar. It's not an open to the public bar. And the other thing we didn't have until recently was a pilot brewery. And not having those two things, we saw it as a really important next step for us. A couple of years ago, we identified just a huge need to have a pilot brewery and a tasting room that's open to the public. And so we took a warehouse that we have next door and we converted it. We basically tore everything out of it and put in a pilot brewery and put in a nice open tap room and really brought to the forefront our innovation, our ability to make new beers in a way that it never had been before. So now we can make a new recipe every week, and we can serve that beer directly to people who come by to drink beer, and we can get feedback, in a couple of different ways. One is they certainly give feedback, when they drink the beer, and then you see which ones sell, and you see which ones are hot. And so we literally opened this thing less than a year ago. It was late October of 2017. So we've been open for about a year, almost a year. And this beer, Fogbreaker, is the first beer to really graduate from that program, to be designed completely on a small pilot batch system, served to the public, get great feedback, and say, we love this beer, let's take it big time. And so that's what you will have. I was going to say what you have in front of you, but what you will have soon when you get a chance to taste it is this beer that we designed on a small batch system. It had a different name when we first started. We called it Pineapple Express for a couple of reasons. Number one, it just, when you open it, when you pour it into a glass, it smells like opening one of those little cans of pineapple juice. It just has a pineapple pop aroma from the hops that we're using. And then the Pineapple Express out here on the West Coast is in the late winter, early spring. There's these storms that come rolling in straight up out of Hawaii that are super warm and wet. And we had one barreling down towards us, and we were going to get pounded by rain, which is, a rather rare event. People freak out when it rains out here.
I can imagine,
It's like that. What's the sky doing? God, there's water coming out. Anyway, the Pineapple Express was a name that is great for writing on a chalkboard in your little pilot brewery, but we knew we couldn't bring that as a full-time name. So we had to come up with a name for this beer as we developed more iterations, and we really saw it as, busting through the fog. This is a foggy city out here, but where we are on Potrero Hill is actually the sunniest place in the city. And it's the first place to break through the fog is this hill. And so we saw this IPA as kind of this bright and shiny IPA we've made a lot of hazy IPAs over there because it's a style we've really been messing around with, but this one's shown through as something just brighter and more delicious than the other things we were working on. And so we decided to go with Fog Breaker as a name, break it through the fog with a not hazy but not entirely bright IPA, but that really pops with those aromatics and notably pineapple.
I like that. It's like a double entendre with the name, more or less.
It's got layers.
It's got layers.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, since this is the first beer that sort of graduated from your pilot system into the big stage, were there any issues with scaling it up for mass production? Do you think you've maintained the original feel even on a larger scale?
Yeah, I really think we did. When we scale something up, you make one brew, and you bring it all the way through, and you taste it, and then you can make a couple of adjustments. And we had some of the beer that was from the pilot brew to taste along side by side, and we knew we needed, move this a little bit this way and add a little more hops late and maybe a little more cryo hops to make it pop more because of just like the difference in the tank geometry and the difference in the way that you make beer on a big scale versus a tiny little pilot brewery. But it's a learning system, and at the end of it, we really feel like we nailed it.
So that is available nationwide, right? In bottles,
yeah,
bombers, on draft,
bottles and draft,
all over, everywhere, all kinds of formats. Are there any other beers in that pilot testing ground right now that you think might somewhere down the road become the next big graduate?
Yeah, we're actually working on another IPA right now. Working with a local organization out here that we're gonna make kind of as a benefit beer. It's gonna be a one-time release, but it's definitely something we brewed over there first. So there's more to come on that.
Cool. Can't wait to hear about it. What's the craziest thing that you've done on the pilot system so far? If there's been anything totally out of the wheelhouse or something that was just done as a one-off that might have gotten a little more traction than you may have thought?
Yeah, we've definitely played around with different styles. We've made some, as I said, some hazy IPAs that have done super well. People are very interested in those styles. We've made a series called Loop Fruits that we're actually on Loop Fruits 4 now. That's been a really fun beer to make. We've done some kind of fun collaboration. One of the neatest things that we did, and you guys are homebrewers, right? So I think you'd appreciate this. But we have this trophy. Anchor has awarded the Homebrew Club of the Year, the California Homebrew Club of the Year, dating back to the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And it's basically our criterion to and we asked them to, tell us what you did, and then we choose which one based on what they did. And it's not just like how many beers did you make, or how many members do you have, or how many awards did you win, but like what did you do to increase your club's knowledge of beer or connection to the brewing industry, or what kind of events have you held, that kind of thing. And seriously, we have this really cool trophy that's engraved with every club that's won, dating back decades, and we keep that in our tap room here. And every year they have the California Homebrew Championships here, so that's they run their own beer judging thing and taste beers and award medals based on that, and we allow them to use our venue for that. And then you get a bunch of homebrewers that come by and they drink a bunch of beer, and it's a good time. And this last year, with our opening of our new public tap room, I decided to kind of up the stakes. And what we did was we in the past we had kind of thrown a party for the winning club, and there was, that didn't. It's not as easy to do today as it used to be, and so I offered them up, instead of us just like throwing a party for you guys, how about if we have the winning club hold then an internal competition for you guys to nominate 3 beers to be submitted to us by 3 of your home brewers, that we will then taste and judge, and we'll pick one to scale up into a brew that we make at our pilot tap room and sell it, and you can have a party there once with the release. So, an opportunity for somebody to win the kind of homebrewer scale up chance of a lifetime to come to Anchor and have us make their beer for them. And so we did that, and we took it. It took months to enact all the stages that went through, but eventually this local homebrewer, her recipe was an English brown, a really classic style, and it was a beautiful beer that she made. And we took her recipe, and she came for a brew day, and we brewed on our 7-barrel system, and then we released it in the homebrew club. The SF Homebrewers Guild was the winning club, and they showed up for a party, and we sold the beer, and it sold through in a few weeks, and it was a really cool opportunity for the people involved. And that kind of like homebrewer outreach for me is something that I'd love to be able to do, and I'm glad we came up with the concept, and we're going to do it again this year.
Cool. Yeah, that's a really cool idea, and I guess spitballing and kind of going outside the box. In theory, I guess, what if the homebrew recipe that's brewed on the pilot system gets a lot of positive feedback? Would you let that graduate?
Oh yeah. We could do more with it, I'm sure. It's hard to figure out exactly how to commercialize something like that, but if it works, you keep going with it, right? And you brew it again.
Yeah, got to give the people what they want, right?
Yeah, and I don't think there's any better prize for a home brewer, not only to see their beer on tap at an actual brewery and commercially available, but to be on tap at a brewery as storied as Anchor. I know plenty of homebrewers who'd love that.
Yeah, and this person, I mean, she's not a professional brewer. She's a school teacher, local San Francisco person. I mean, she's just like, it was for her a really cool experience. She was so grateful. And then, like, to see on the day that we had the release party, friends and family come by, and the homebrew club and all that, and they were all super proud and super excited, and they drank a whole bunch of brown ale.
Nice. You said a teacher who homebrews, who made it a winning brown ale. I really wish Steph was here because you're basically describing her.
I know. I'm disappointed she's not there, because after reading about her on your blog, it sounds like she's the one who knows more about beer than the two of you put together. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's
no hiding that.
Definitely the encyclopedia of the group. That is for sure. But she'd love to be here with us. Unfortunately, she can't.
Well, she'll get to listen.
Yes,
and
exactly.
maybe she'll get like she'll have to come out here and visit. You guys, you should.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'd be up for that.
It's a pilgrimage. This is when I'm sitting here looking out over the brew house right now, and I can tell you this is really one of the most beautiful breweries in the world, and definitely a place to put on that list of breweries to visit.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco for me is on the close to the top of the list of places I need to get to, and that, of course, would then include the pilgrimage to Anchor. Well, Scott, we want to thank you for, of course, taking the time and letting us call and chat with you for a little bit, and we definitely have to keep an eye out for the Fogbreaker IPA and, of course, the Christmas Ale when that gets released pretty soon. That's creeping up on us at this point.
Yeah, it's less than a month away, and the shipments to Pennsylvania, I can tell you, they've already happened.
Oh,
I know that.
Ooh.
The check is in the mail.
I said, I did follow up on that because I had that a couple of things out in Pennsylvania, and we just want to make sure everybody in Pennsylvania gets a shot at Christmas ale this year.
Of course, yeah. Pennsylvania knows how to drink, that's for sure. Well, Scott, yeah, thank you for taking the time, man. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you guys, and sorry about your Phillies, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I've learned to expect that from all our sports teams, really.
Yeah.
All right, cheers. So thanks again to Scott for letting us chat with him for a little bit. That was great.
Yeah, it was cool. It's really awesome to be able to do phone interviews with breweries and people that we wouldn't be able to physically get to. So we can kind of expand our scope, because we're kind of limited to a 2-hour radius of Philadelphia.
Just about, yeah. If we feel like getting crazy, maybe 3, but I don't know that I want to drive that much.
But speaking of awesome places that we can get to, I am excited to dive in and talk about Suburban Brewing.
Me too.
You mentioned the arcade games. As soon as we walked in the door, arcade cabinets, pool table, there was
Air hockey.
air hockey.
There
Why
it is.
couldn't I couldn't I think of fucking air
I got
hockey?
that.
Like, you got the motions, yeah. The secret hand signals.
What I like too about the arcade games, I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's fine.
In the back, there's skee ball, there's
Yes.
shuffleboard, and shuffleboard bowling. But with skee ball, if you get 400 points or more, you get a free beer.
That's
Yes,
right.
yes.
No Tootsie Rolls here. You got a beer.
Yes.
Nice.
Now, I did the math on that. Typically in skee ball, you get 9 balls. So that means you have to get at least 50 per ball. So, just so you're out there,
Wow.
so you don't have to do the math, I did.
Very possible.
How long were
when
you
there's
working on
100
that?
points on there.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
you
true.
just knock it out in 4 and call it a day.
So we have organized notes and everything, but now that we're talking about arcade cabinets, I kind of want to talk about that. What was the inspiration?
Same here.
We'll get to the beer eventually. But what was the inspiration for having all these cool, like, old school arcade things? You even have schematics of arcade games on the wall. Is that like something you guys brought in as like your own personal? You guys really into games, or
I think
you just kinda-
Eric brought the vision for that. you know?
Not that I'm like a huge gamer. Like I
somebody just sold you like a bunch of arcade games real cheap,
No.
and you're like, I'm gonna throw them in my brewery.
It kind of gives you something to do when you're at a brewery, other than drink and eat. You know, it gives you something to, hang out and chill out for a while. But to me, the vision was to have like the nostalgia games, the older vintage games. That was the original vision, and most of them are. Most of them are Pac-Man. I mean, one of the first ones we got was this 1954 shuffleboard over here, and
I thought you were pointing to the Touch Tunes things at first. I was like, I don't think they existed then.
Yeah. We stream.
They were streaming on jukeboxes.
We were streaming in
1954.
1920 no, but I went to go look at this 1954 shuffleboard in some guy's basement. I get there, and they had the Miss Pac-Man pinball that's in the other room. I just like walked right past this, and I was like, I don't even care about that. Like, what? How much for the Pac-Man? So it kind of started like that. I love pinball. I never made it to like the point of like the whole PlayStation and all that stuff. There's too many buttons. Like we had Nintendo, and like,
You have a joystick and 2 buttons.
and we started with Atari, Commodore 64,
Yep.
and then Nintendo is as far as I got at home playing, because it was A, B, up and down, left and right.
Yeah.
And there's no X's, Y's, and all that stuff. So I like those kind of games, and I, kind of when I heard the Pac-Man make the, like I was like, oh man, that like brought back like crazy memories, and I was like, this is really cool. So like pinball and stuff like that, I loved as a kid. Never really got into like I like to play them in the arcade, and part of growing up, to me, a lot of memories of being a child of the 80s, just going to the mall, sitting in the arcade, smoking cigs and hanging out with weirdos, So I don't know, we kind of incorporated it here, and it's just kind of like people
cool.
dig it. The Buck Hunter, like it's not the new one; it's the 1990 version of it.
Right.
And so a lot of the stuff is just older, like you said, the skee ball. The other shuffleboard came from my in-laws had a bar in Modena, and it's been sitting in the basement of one of my wife's aunts for I don't know, since they closed 20 years ago, and that's 1975 shuffleboard. So it's just kind of, my wife's grandfather had passed away. I think he'd be honored to see that his shuffleboard's in a bar again.
Yeah,
Right. So
right.
like it's kind of just like
People are-
throwback kind of stuff. And
That's cool. That's
so
cool.
I just thought it was something different.
It all fits the vibe here too.
Yeah, it's cool.
almost like a garage or a basement kind of feel, very casual. We have murals on the walls and jukebox playing music that we like, and arcade games, and it's just something for everybody, very casual and laid back.
Yeah, it really is a nice vibe. I'm liking the whole atmosphere. And what I really like too is the sign behind the bar that has the beers that are on tap is like one of those road signs where you can put up the letters and everything. Like
The big flashing arrow on
Yeah.
top. Yeah. Did you guys steal that off the highway, or did?
Well, that's That's another funny story, I guess.
It's like American Picker going back.
Everybody always said, "Well, that's really cool. Like, I love that sign." I'm like, well, that's how it all started. Like, that was my vision. I wanted to see beer of ours up on a marquee kind of esque board. I found it on like a Let It Go or something, Facebook thingy.
One of those, yeah.
And the girl that measured it said, "Oh, it's 19 by this or whatever, you know."
Yeah.
And, well, she measured the white part. She didn't measure the arrow. It came with a stand that was 3 feet on each side of it. I drove up to Allentown in an SUV, hour and a half. Like, I'll just put this thing in the back of my trunk. The lady looks at me and goes, "You're not getting that." And I was like, well, no shit, like you just wasted an hour and a half up here and an hour and a half back. So I was like, all right. So I tried to negotiate. I was like, "Hey, will you knock off $50 if I come back with a truck?" She's like, "No."
I mean, I kind of give her credit for that. I'm not gonna lie.
And it was quite the opposite. She's like, "Actually, I'll deliver it to you for $50." So that thing went from where the chicken's on the mural there. It went from that. We thought about having that way, pointing that way, and we had it here. And we were kind of moving around like where we had outlets. I was like, "Oh, we already have an outlet there. We already have an outlet there." I was like, "Well, why don't we put it behind the bar so people are looking at it, and the rest is kind of history." It's kind of just,
It works. It's snug where it is, but it fits. And
it's cool. Yeah,
it's like a moth to flame. It's like the brightest thing in the room, and it makes you look at the bar and look at the beers that are on draft.
I also like that it kind of fits where the arrow that's flashing is pointing right to the Steins and the growlers that are above the window there.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you intentionally set it up that way? Or
absolutely, 100%.
All right, cool. I
There's a lot of focus
I
grouping.
figured it was
and
more than a
market
happy
research.
accident.
I'm an engineer major as well. So.
Well, there we go. That's where it comes down. Well, so if you have an engineering background, so how did you get into brewing and beer at that point?
I am not an engineer.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Plays one on TV, though.
I was going to say, I'm looking at the
I was
notes.
like, I didn't see that, but maybe
you really pivoted at some point from engineering to restaurateurship.
Why not?
Well, why don't we tell this true story about your background? So you have a long career in food service and restaurants, things like that. Mm-hmm. Where did that all start?
Originally, I'm a Chester County native. So originally I got my feet wet here in Chester County, kind of run around. As a kid, I worked at half the restaurants are gone, but restaurants in Fraser. Then as time progressed, went up to college, and Johnson & Wales came back down. Worked at Dilwortown, which was like in the prime when I was there in the '90s, and then the Gables of Chad's Ford opened up a couple places for some buddies in Westchester, and then kind of took off for a little while, and went and kind of just like went to. And anywhere I can go find some different cuisine and stuff. Ended up down in Florida, and I worked for a restaurant called Tommy Bahama. That's like an island style cuisine. And opened up restaurants for them. And did one in Naples, Florida, Sandestin, Florida, and Las Vegas. Ended up in Las Vegas when the stock market crashed in 2008, and it kind of stunk. So wanted to get out of Dodge and came back to the coast over here, and I met my old partner Marty. Owns a bunch of places in Philadelphia and down the shore, and ran a couple restaurants down the LBI for him. Then came back and did the White Dog Cafe as a partner in that for about 5 years in Philadelphia, and kind of got that back on the scene, and then decided to come back into Chester County, and took a break for a little while as a private chef or movie director for a while. For about 5 years, and knocked out some kids.
I saw that on your bio on the website. Now, we can cut this out if you want to, but I really want to know who this world-renowned movie director was.
Well, I'll give you a guess.
Oh,
If it's in this area, I'm guessing M. Night Shyamalan.
You are correct.
Okay. From Philadelphia? Okay, fair enough. Are people allowed to know that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
he's a good friend. We're still... I talked to his people yesterday. We're trying to get our food truck down to his Halloween.
Nice.
So.
Twist ending turns out he hates you.
Yes.
Oh man,
he's not really alive.
That would be very Shyamalan.
Yeah. What was his movie about was it Devil in the Elevator? Is that
that
one?
That was one. That was one of his other. That was like a one-off series that he did for a while. They're called the Night Chronicles.
Yeah. I met him when he was going around promoting that. So I used to work for WMMR.
Oh, yeah,
and I met him when...
we know all those guys, too.
Yeah, I love that place. I miss it so much there.
Yeah.
But he came through, he's promoting it, and of course he's a huge friend of the station at this point. So I was an assistant producer at the time, so I had to make sure we can get him downstairs now to his car to get to the next interview we had to do. And in the elevator, I hit the button to go down, and it took a minute. I'm like, should I be in an elevator with you right now?
It's really funny you say that. Like, I was barbecuing at his house one day, and like, I pulled up to the like, it's a private gate, and there's these red berries, which is the bad color from not the what the hell was the one?
Oh, is from Village?
The Village.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's, I'm looking at him like, oh, maybe this is where he got that idea. It's like pulling out of his own house. Like, here's the red berry. And then I went up and I was cooking on the grill. And it's funny because it was actually Bruce Willis and stuff were there that day. And it was like the wind was blowing. And I'm like kind of watching all the stuff go. And I was like, what was that movie? There was a movie, something about like wind. I was like, that was one of his movies. Because that was before I was working for him. And I was like, thought about it. I was like, what was the movie where the wind killed people? I was like, that was one of Knight's movies. It's like two thoughts in the same day. And
it was like seeing where the inspiration came from.
Whoa, I'm like sitting at his house, like doing this stuff right now, and
about to be a subject for the next movie.
And it made sense, but now, so
he has yet to make a movie about a personal chef.
I'm sure he will at some point.
Yeah.
So, from all of that, how did you end up here at Suburban?
Well, when I started doing the White Dog stuff, Judy Wicks is a pioneer in Philadelphia. She's an amazing woman. My partners and I took over the White Dog, purchased from her in 2008, I believe it was, and she taught me a whole different aspect of cooking. When I did the Tommy Bahama stuff and other places, most of our food came, I don't know if I could say like a brand, but like came from like Cisco or whatever, big U.S. foods conglomerates and stuff like that. And she kind of got me into like looking at local food, looking at local produce, looking at keeping stuff in the community, and I really embraced it and fell in love with it. And part of the purchase agreement was we had a social agreement saying that we had a social contract that we had to abide by, buying a certain amount of ingredients local, and she would audit it quarterly. And once I figured out how to do it and do it correctly, we blew it out of the water. It was like whatever percentage we were like, if it was 20%, we're doing 40%, and it came true, and it really was an eye-opening experience in my culinary direction. It was like, what, why buy asparagus from Peru in the winter when you can just wait till spring when it's growing in here in Delaware and Pennsylvania and New Jersey and just have the best, freshest stuff? Why buy tomatoes from Mexico that are green, that are shipped over here and gassed and turned red? Like if you go to my restaurant in Exton, we don't put a tomato on the burger unless it's summertime. Like, you just can't get it. We just they'll be like, can I get a tomato? I'm like, I don't have them. Tomatoes aren't in season. Look around. It's middle of winter.
Yeah.
So she kind of gave me that thought process of keeping stuff local. And our beer at the White Dog was within 90 miles of the White Dog Cafe in Philadelphia. So I thought it'd be fun when we did our restaurant to do beer only Pennsylvania. And as I researched, going to brewery, realized the beer is so good, like, why go any farther? And then I started realizing, like, the liquor is too. So we only sell Pennsylvania liquor. I have a full liquor license. We could sell Grey Goose, rum.
Oh, right.
We could sell whatever we want. I paid for a full liquor license, but I choose to sell just Pennsylvania products just because I like to support our neighbors, and I'm passionate about it.
That's interesting because most breweries will serve Pennsylvania because
they have to.
They can now.
Well, the
under their
brewery
license.
we have to.
Right.
This I don't have liquor license. My restaurant is a different story. So they asked me, like, how do I get into it? Long story short, I went and visited 1,000 breweries to make sure they're exactly what we wanted. And as I visited them, I started looking at every piece of equipment. I'm like, so it goes from here to there. Da-da-da-da. I'm like, this doesn't look that hard, Like, I'm a chef, I could figure out a recipe and make it myself, I think. So as and not taking anything away from the brewer, because it is, I found out way harder than it looks. But on the other hand, I also found a love for it. I was like, this looks awesome. I want to be a part of it. So, Corey and I met, and we were just sitting in my garage, and he was walking me through it. His beer was turning out awesome every time. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't think I could repeat it myself without Corey, and I was like, so we kind of we were sitting out by my pool one day, and I was like, hey Corey, man, any brewers that would be looking for a brewing job, because I'm just too busy. I don't think I'm going to be able. This is all fun in my garage, but I can't do it. And I was like, thinking, well, he has his own homebrew shop. Like, he's too busy. He doesn't want to have anything to do it. Maybe he'll just put me in the right direction. And he said, hey, well, I hope you consider me. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So it was like, that was it. And we have a lot of things in common. We hang out and we have a lot of the same passions. The Grateful Dead is one of our very passionate things that we have. So we just sit out there and we just have fun. I mean, I don't know. I'm having a great time with
everything fell into place.
Yeah, it's just like it was like a match. It was like when you found that match, you're like, this is good.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about the Grateful Dead, because apparently, Corey, that's how you got into beer, was tailgating at Dead shows, right?
Yeah, way back.
What was your first, if you can remember, craft beer that you had in a parking lot, or Bud Miller Coors?
Probably Sierra Nevada or Sammy Smith.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's Deadheads from West Coast bringing them out.
Yeah.
In the late 80s.
When did you go from, hey, I like this beer, to, all right, I want to make the beer?
Well, when I was in college, I went to school at Westchester. So my second senior year, buddy got me a job at a brew on premise. So started being a brew coach there. That got me into craft beer. Growing up outside of Reading, I always drank Yingling. So that was probably in the late 80s, early 90s kind of craft beer at the time. It still technically is, I guess. From family events, we always had Yingling Porter or half and half, black and tan, that kind of stuff, Chesterfield. Yeah. I always kind of had that exposure, but working at the brew on premise really turned me on, and that was in the late 90s, so the bubble at the time, with Pete's Wicked Ale, and even a lot of the local guys, Victory, Iron Hill, started emerging. So I really started getting into craft beer then. And then just working at the brew on premise, helping people basically homebrew there. We had the equipment and ingredients for people to come and make their beer. And my job was to coach them through the process. So, and then just kind of having that, that knowledge of kind of the process itself was cool. And then I ended up moving out to Kansas City, helped open up a brewery out there. And then I knew that was kind of the lifestyle. I was 1,500 miles away from my bosses. I was 22 or 23 years old. Had keys to the brewery. Kansas City was a cool town. And we were right in Westport, which was almost like a Manayunk type of area of Kansas City, Missouri. So it was a blast. So that kind of, got me started, and then I moved back east, and the company I worked for closed, and I just kept homebrewing. So homebrewing at the time, and then just thinking, one day I'd love to do this. Quit my corporate job and just brew. So fast forward 15, 16 years, still had the corporate job. Kind of got tired of it, rode that as far as I wanted to, and I wanted to open a brewery, so took some Siebel courses, that kind of stuff, and realized the capital and just the effort. It was just going to be me. I didn't have any other partners at the time, so it was going to be huge. So I thought the next best thing to opening a brewery would be opening a home brew shop. So at least get in the game, do the craft. It's something I'm passionate about, I love, and see what happens after that. So it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, I feel like that lets you probably experiment a little more with your recipes then.
Definitely does.
Yeah, you have the supplies there. I mean, you're going to keep getting supplies in from manufacturers, farmers, and what have you, and you don't have to worry about risking an entire giant batch and costing your brewery money.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So at the homebrew shop, I'd probably brew at least once a week. So it would always be featuring ingredients or processes or styles that I wanted to showcase for customers to come in. So it kind of pushed me outside of my comfort zone.
Right.
So it allowed me to try different things, to get to know different hops or different combinations of yeast and malts and hops and everything. So it was kind of a laboratory kind of
a proving ground.
Yeah.
Playground.
So,
Get in a candy store.
It was. Total candy store. Cool. But yeah, it worked out well, and that's Eric came in to buy some equipment and showed him how to brew on the equipment, and brewed a bunch of beer, and
eventually said,
drank
hey,
a
let's
bunch of
open a brewery.
So what was the first beer that you had here at Suburban?
the Kolsch, and we had a Northeast IPA. So those were two of the beers that we brewed. It was a variation of Sunshine, yeah.
Did we call it Sunshine? That's a good
No,
question.
we didn't name that until
Remember what the
later,
hell? I
just
don't
because it was so bright.
I can't remember our first
And
tap
we-
list.
You do? We didn't have, when we opened up, we didn't have a Northeast IPA. We didn't even have an IPA, I don't think.
Well, you know what? Because we're waiting on LCB kind of stuff, and we're like, we want the beer to drink fresh.
Right.
So we did ones that can lager over,
Right,
the
right,
Kolsch
right.
and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So we're like, you know what? Until we know we had, as soon as we got that license, we turned the lights on. We're like, okay, this is what we have. And then like the very next day, Corey brewed a juicy IPA.
And we weren't sure, too, what, being out in Honeybrook, kind of what the taste was. We knew the Kolsch would probably be a hit. We wanted to throw in a cream ale, so we're thinking
That's right.
something close to macro. But the first beer that kicked was our Saison, which we'll have later on.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
That's exciting. I
So
love Saison.
That was
good to
that was
hear.
really really interesting.
Yeah,
And
you don't
then-
hear that very often that a Saison is the first one to kick.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because it's bananas good. And
And it's
there's a
good.
story behind that as well we could talk
Awesome.
about later.
Yeah, when we taste it, we'll have to talk about that. Let's not forget that. I think it's awesome you started with the Kolsch. You can't go wrong with any German style, any lager in Pennsylvania, especially when you get outside of like the city, outside of Philly, where like you can get any beer you want. I feel like suburban areas of Pennsylvania, like everybody's going to drink an IPA. Everybody now is going to drink a hazy IPA, but like born and bred Pennsylvanians will always drink a lager.
I love having German heritage. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what. So my restaurant in Exton, it's a lot of German influence. You see our signs, a nod to a hex sign. It's a very common welcome. It would be what it would say.
Right.
And we replaced the thistle finch with chickens and the wheat with hops.
Yeah.
And so at the restaurant, we wanted to be kind of like a true German beer garden-esque format. So our top two beers before Corey and I met up, I had Stickman's was doing our Dunkel and Levante was doing our Kolsch.
Right.
So like I was like, these are two beers I need to have, German-style beers. And honestly, like around here, we didn't see a lot of them. I didn't see a lot of Kolsch around for a while. So I thought we were kind of... Now I see it more and more on people's menu. But I think it's a easy drinking, good introductory beer, and it has that malty sweetness. I think it's just a great...
It's good. It's the kind of beer that a craft beer drinker and a casual beer drinker, I think, would come to
appreciate
order
it.
as well.
Like-
So
yeah.
here's
done
a
right.
question. I haven't really noticed trends in it, but we can all say that we've seen more lagers, more Kolsches and what have you popping up. Do we think that that's more of a local thing because of the German influence here, or are we seeing more national recognition for that? I honestly don't know that I've kept an eye on what's available. Like obviously around here we have great ones that are well known and well respected, but outside of the area, what is there? What can you get?
In our
what will be served here?
podcasting adventures, we've definitely started to see more and more appreciation for lager, more and more lagers in the forefront. But you're right. I mean, we do mostly PA breweries.
Is it just
so,
PA
yeah.
that's doing this, or is this a national thing?
I think it might be national. I think it's to
I
kind
hope
of
so.
balance out,
I think it's
hoppy
the whole
beers.
beer garden movement.
Yeah.
You want to be... That's your nod to German.
Yeah, and you want something
Yeah.
you can put in a liter stein and sit at a long table, and yeah, definitely.
Something not really off-putting, too, visually.
Yeah.
It's usually golden in color, filtered for the most part.
Yeah, it looks like what you imagine a beer looks like,
it's
especially if you don't know anything about it.
entry-level
It's-
beer.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not intimidating. Yeah,
But at the same time, it's tasty for,
It's
the
your craft
beer
brew Bud Light. Whatever.
exactly. It is. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely
It's
is.
like if-
You mentioned
if
one
you're a
of
friend.
your first beers you did was a hazy IPA. How long has the brewery been open?
February 16th.
Okay, so
Of this year?
so
Yeah.
this
Oh,
year.
wow.
Okay, so I was going to say it had to be fairly recently because the haze craze has only been going on for a couple of years. So.
Yeah, we opened in February, middle of February.
Yeah,
So.
we got the we got the building in December 6th, and we opened up in February 16th.
Good God.
Wow.
We built this, painted every square inch, built that wall, built the bar. I mean, it was
Wow.
like we said, when it's a garage bar, it's like what you did in your garage to make it a cool man cave or whatever.
That's
I mean, like it was
insane
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
have
it was-
that quick of a turnaround.
What I'm surprised,
Yeah.
I'm impressed with all the graffiti that has accumulated on the tables in 8
Yeah.
months. That's impressive.
Yeah.
We didn't mention this yet, but these they have like picnic, like white picnic style tables here. And much like our podcast
It
tablecloth,
makes us feel at home.
it's just covered with like Sharpie drawings and people writing their names and writing cool stuff. It has a really cool vibe. It kind of goes into, like you're saying, like hanging out in the basement kind of
We
vibe.
actually encourage it. We put leaders with Sharpies on it, and I believe the sign says, "Please leave your mark. No penises and vaginas and such," or something.
Well, we have both of those on
our
multiple
tablecloth.
ones.
Yeah,
and it doesn't stop anybody. They're still putting.
I'm going to say my favorite one is over here, though. It says Beards Rule, and it's a picture of a dude with a long beard.
Okay.
I like that one.
Okay. A lot of Ninja Turtle fans, too.
There's a knockoff SpongeBob over here.
There's a Flyers logo here.
A lot of Flyers, a lot of Eagles.
Yeah.
Tons
that
of
makes
Ninja
sense.
Turtles.
I've
a lot
seen
of, lot of
Go
Grateful
Birds a
Dead
lot.
to your faces.
That's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Well, we talked a lot about the beers you guys have. You guys want to start trying some?
Yeah, I think we should probably beer.
Let's beer.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
I love when beer magically appears in front of us.
Through the magic of editing,
Exactly.
there's beer here.
It just, poof, is there. But there's a couple of flights that are on the table, all with, and I didn't realize this at first until we went to take pictures of it, all with individually logoed little taster can glasses, which are so cool.
Those are really cool.
It's such
First
a...
class operation.
Oh, yeah.
And I like
they get ripped off every day.
I'm sure they do.
fit so comfortably in your pocket.
I'm sure they do. I also like the wood burned logo on the flight board here. These are pretty cool.
And these-
Eric did that.
It's actually and that's supposed to hold a chalk, so you can write with a
Oh,
chalk.
okay.
Oh, wow.
Right. I see.
That makes sense.
Rick, so
Originally it was-
you handmade all of these with that engineering degree?
My engineering days. I'm also a GC. Actually, guy Dave Skippy. What the hell's his name? Dave. Old guy, retired. He's probably 70-some years old. He did a lot of stuff for me. He did those. He does tap handles and
Oh, that's cool.
all kind of good guy.
Does stuff for other breweries.
I
think he was looking to
he
do
did
what-
Locust, I think.
Yeah.
He did the whole bar at Locust Lane, I think. The whole bar top.
Oh, that bar is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, wow.
there.
Cool.
Live,
Yeah.
live edge.
Dave
live,
Fleming. David Fleming.
Okay.
Fleming.
Not
Okay.
off to Dave Fleming. Good job, Dave.
Awesome.
Something with Stable 12, too. I think he's doing tap handles with them.
Oh, cool.
Cheers,
He's persistent for a guy that's retired.
Yeah,
He goes,
exactly. That doesn't
he
sound
found
very
a niche.
retired.
He went,
We,
he went to all the breweries and just like, buy this.
This is a tangent. Might be an outtake, but our aunt and uncle Pat.
Oh, yeah.
And Doug, they used to. Now this guy has since retired, but they had a lot of like wrought iron fencing work around their house and their stairways and stuff. And it was this older guy, like probably should have been retired, but kept on working. Would do this hand pounded like iron work. It's really nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of our stuff here is reclaimed. Our whole bar is reclaimed. That's a 100-year-old barnwood on top. It's all from one same barn. The front, I mean, I drilled that damn thing on there myself.
Yeah. Reclaimed pallets.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Me and Corey sanded pallets for 3 days straight.
For that corner over there, I wanted to mention that earlier.
It's awesome now, but it really sucked when we made
I
it.
can imagine putting that together probably was a pain in the ass. But it's like the Jenga corner because you have the giant Jenga over there.
Yeah.
Or this sort of not super giant, but giant-ish Jenga. And then the whole corner is just like slats of wood. So it's like the Jenga corner.
It all blends in. It's cool.
Yeah, they're all reclaimed pallets. They're all just pallets, skids. Now
That's cool.
We cut all the nails out, and then Corey and I used a palm sander for a couple of days straight. Like, so my hand was vibrating.
Stuff like nerve damage.
Yeah.
It was messed up for a while.
Wow. All right, you want to dive into these beers?
Yeah,
Are we
the,
going to start with the Kolsch?
The aforementioned glasses are full of what look to be very delicious beers.
Yeah, we started off on the light side.
All right.
So we have the Kolsch, we have the
Saison.
Saison, and Northeast Pale Ale, and the German Wheat.
Awesome.
Yeah, I say let's start
Kolsch
off with
first.
that Kolsch.
There you go, Dan.
Yeah.
Have a Kolsch.
Thank you.
So
Yep.
the Kolsch is called Copycat Kolsch. We brewed that with Fegley's in Allentown. So that's a slight variation of our China Cat Kolsch. And our China Cat is actually, we have a mural from a local artist up on the wall here.
Yeah, I was eyeing that up. That's really cool.
That's Michael Powers, not Mike Powers. He's super talented.
No, it was awesome. He did that in a day. So we start off, and this is one of our first beers that Eric and I brewed together. It was a Kolsch, and we knew that we had to have this in the brewery as a flagship.
Really nice. It's very much like, I love it. It's to style. It's traditional. It's not like nothing crazy going on with it. Really great beer. And like I said before, this is a Pennsylvania beer, I feel like. You know, if you're going to be in Pennsylvania,
It is. Yeah.
especially this part of Pennsylvania, the PA Dutch land, like this is the kind of beer you expect to drink.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll do liters of that. And
Nice.
we had that. That was one of the 3 beers that we really showcased during our Oktoberfest a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw the flag out front.
Still have the flags out.
We had 20 people doing a Stein lift with it.
That's surprisingly hard to do. It doesn't look like it is, but that's real tough.
One of my best friends blew his shoulder out last year doing it.
Oh, God.
Literally had to get Carl. Had to
Yeah.
get surgery for it.
Wow.
Guy's ripped too. He invented this like pull-up bar. Like
Wow.
sells like on the internet, and he hurt himself on
Oh,
a,
my
on a
God.
liter of beer because he didn't want to quit. he wanted to win, man.
Oh man, I've never actually done that. I've watched a lot of people do
Hey,
that.
I've tried.
The
It's-
night's still young. We got
Yeah,
science,
I know,
and we
right?
got coach.
I feel like I'd embarrass
I
myself.
hold these sample glasses.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
how,
right.
how long could you
4
hold
5
a
ounce pour.
5 ounce pour out? Yeah.
The Kolsch is a huge hit. It's one of our favorites to drink too, and I
can see why.
It's just always there, and it's the cleanest beer. Obviously, Fegley's they filter it, so it's probably the only beer that's filtered here. So.
Right.
Well, it is the only beer that's filtered here.
So, speaking of your actual system here is 1 barrel system.
Yeah, so we have a 1-barrel electric system.
Okay.
3 vessel from Spike, and then we have 8 fermenters.
Okay. How much fermentation capacity does that add up to?
That adds up to
I'm making you do math. I'm sorry.
about 9 or 10 barrels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how often do you end up brewing?
2 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
So, which is cool because we can have a variety of beers, which is great. I think from myself, from a consumer perspective, you always have something new. So there's something every week for somebody to come back to. But we're starting to learn what our crowd favorites and what recipes I want to drill down and really perfect. And
Right.
Whether it's water chemistry or the hop combinations or tweaking the grain bill, which is just improving some of the beers that we had. So the Northeast Pale Ale is one that we've brewed 3 or 4 times. The Saison has been on since day one. The German Wheat, we brewed that for Oktoberfest, but prior to that, we brewed that once before. So we're starting to find a groove, and then from there, really tighten the screws down. But it's fun. It's talking about the candy store. Brewing 1 barrel at a time allows me to just really mess around and do some different styles.
What's the craziest thing you've kicked out on that system?
Nothing too crazy yet. We haven't really got there yet. I don't feel like I'm out in front enough.
Okay.
We definitely want to do some sour beers. Do some kettle souring.
That'd be good.
Probably the craziest, and we've even kept the alcohol in moderation for the most part. The West Coast IPA that we have, we'll have in round 2. That's I think one of our biggest beers. That's 7.7.
Oh wow.
And then maybe for the Patron, we'll have a special treat.
Yes.
So we'll tease. But yeah,
Stay tuned.
Yeah, that's the big boy. I'm like chomping at the bit to try.
Yeah, we always break open like barrel aged bottles in last call, and
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very okay with that.
That's something we definitely want to get into, especially with our relationships with the local distilleries.
Yeah,
Manatoni and
Revitalists.
Yeah. I think even like better than even like having local PA spirits on is doing that sort of collaboration thing where like you get a barrel from them, you age a beer in it, and then even like I've seen breweries that like will take a barrel from a distillery, age a beer in it, and then give the
Give it
barrel
back.
back, and
Yeah.
then they'll age
They
a
put
spirit
beer
in
in
it,
it. Yeah.
and then they give it
Yeah.
back again, and
No, and
Barrels
that's,
are
that's
so
what
cool.
it's about, and they've been great. We really, if you look up there, like Manatoni is like our house when it comes to like running the gamut of gin, rum, vodka, and just this guy. I mean, like Max and I have just a great relationship, and everybody over there at Manatoni are great people, and don't want to sound like Donald. They're great people.
they're great people, the best people.
I got the best people you could ever have. They get whiskey for us.
That's pretty good.
That is actually pretty good. That's,
Practice that, haven't you?
That's the best whiskey ever in Pennsylvania.
uncanny.
But that, and then when it comes to gin, these guys with Brandywine Branch, I mean, I gave up gin for a long time because I was a Bombay Sapphire guy and I loved it. My old man still drinks it, but it made me nuts. And after drinking it too much, like killed you, But
Yeah.
this gin that they have is fantastic. So we've had these awesome relationships with these guys, and they're just happy to donate barrels, and we barrel age cocktails and stuff here. We have the barrel heads and stuff like that. So like, they're more than happy to give us a barrel. And now that we have a double barrel fermenter and stuff, like, we're so excited to do something like that. And that's in the near future with these guys. And I think a part of it was we wanted to crawl before we walk. Like we didn't want to dive in with a 30 barrel system.
Of course.
And if people didn't love it, then you're sitting on. We want our beer to be fresh. And one thing about our beer is like, it can't sit here. I mean, it's just like in and out. I mean, like if you want it, you got to come and get it because it's gone in a week. And it's like, I mean, it's a 1 barrel system. It kicks out 2 half barrels.
Yeah.
So we make 2 kegs and that's it. We don't even bring it to my restaurant. I have 24 taps in my restaurant. We have Copycat Kolsch. That's it.
And that's it.
Because Fagley's, we did a collaborative.
Right.
So they helped us out, giving us a 30 barrel run. But besides that, I mean, we keep it in house, and if you want to come, you got to come to Honeybrook. And we're going to look to ramp it up, but right now it's like we wanted to dial it in, make sure it's awesome.
Especially being so young as a brewery, it makes sense. Like, concentrate here first and then look to grow.
I just see so many breweries opening up, like huge, with no. I don't even know. Like, I mean, I don't know how.
Not everybody can open a 70,000 square foot brewery.
How do you open up? How do you open up with a 30 barrel system and know that your beer is going to be great the first couple times you brew it? I don't feel comfortable using my clientele as a guinea pig on 30
unless
barrels.
You're like coming off of like I've seen brewers who have left like big breweries and opened their own thing. Like
that's
that
a
makes
different
sense.
story.
Like,
you got
have that
pedigree. You're
background.
like, I'm the man.
But when this is sort of let's do this thing, let's see how it goes.
But
And you definitely want to start small and build up.
You still don't know. I mean, like,
that's
I
true.
don't know.
You can still fall on
you
your
can
face.
mess up. You could like water chemistry might be wrong, or
you
just,
could.
like it's different equipment than you ever used. Like
you dump 30 barrels down the
right.
drain.
I'm not comfortable wasting that much.
Yeah.
Of
course not.
Yeah,
or just putting out an inferior product. I want to put out the best we can.
Yeah.
And believe me, we won't put it out if it's not good. But I'd say we've dumped maybe 2 or 3 batches the whole time we've been here.
Yeah, maybe.
Two,
maybe.
And like
Two.
that, like when your system's not
But
huge, it's not as painful.
You could dial it in.
You're
You're
kind of be like, okay.
And we've had, what do you say, fapus or whatever? What do you say, like, or something.
Something wasn't right. Yeah.
Like, but we were able to correct it because it's such
Yeah.
a small batch. Like, we fried an electric unit one time and in the middle of a whirlpool, but it ended up being an awesome beer that we'll probably never be able to recreate.
Oh, I love when that happens. When something crazy happens and it turns out really good, and you're like, I'm never going to be able to do that.
So
Like
good
something fried in the back. I'm like, shit, thing's on fire, you know. But we got beer in the whirlpool.
And it actually it tastes good.
It was awesome beer, but
Yeah, that's a deep throwback. We were
It
at,
really is.
Snitz
Snitz
Creek
Creek.
years. It was early on. I mean, we were
Must have
talking
been like year 1 of,
Like-
of our podcast.
like less than 30 episodes in.
Yeah.
They had this beer where they were fermenting it, and something happened, and like all the yeast like died, and like it didn't finish fermenting, and they pulled it off, and it was really good. And they made it a special. It was the Olympic year because it was they.
So that would have been 2014.
Yeah, 2014. But they're like, we'll never be able to make this again.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what happened, but it tastes good.
It's one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Limited
Yeah.
edition.
So I'm really excited to try this Saison.
Yeah, that's
Let's
the
move on
saison
to the
that
Saison.
kicked early on, right?
Yeah, here, I got you.
Yep. Yeah, that was. I don't think that was the first batch we brewed, but it was definitely the first one that kicked. So it's an Americanized saison. So we use Citra and Columbus hops, but traditional saison yeast. We ferment it, in the 70s. The original plan was to dry hop it.
I'm kind of glad you didn't.
Since we were opening
have.
quickly, we didn't get
You
a
didn't get a
chance.
chance, yeah.
We actually have a batch being dry hopped right now, so we'll have that next
Yeah.
week. But it might be the week where the podcast comes out. But it'll be a nice little
Yeah.
experiment to see what would have happened if.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice drinker. Kind of has that citrusy that plays off of the spiciness of the saison yeast.
Yeah, and it has like that really slight, almost candiness in the background from
Just
the yeast.
a bit,
It's really
yeah.
nice.
A little bit of pepper.
Yeah, a little pepperiness, a little
like,
dry
your
finish.
reaction was exactly mine. Like Corey and I tasted it, and he's like, "And now I think we're gonna dry hop," and I was like, "Don't."
Yeah, just
It was like
out.
it was,
Oh my God.
it was awesome.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It could,
but
it's
now we're
probably
curious.
amazing dry hop
We're
too.
so curious
but
about
I really
it. So
like it as
so
it is.
Month 8, we're finally going to do it. But how many times have you brewed it? in between.
at
you know?
least 6 times.
So-
it's in the heavy rotation.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say this is my favorite Saison I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of up there. I mean,
Holy
I know I'm
crap.
biased, but like when I tasted Corey's Saison, I was like, I mean, I grew up, the first Saison I had was Saison DuPont in the champagne kind of
Right.
bottle, and I was like, this was a cool beer. And since when I had different farmhouse style, skunky, like kind of like musty, I love this Saison. I think it's incredible. And when we tasted it right out. I was like,
well,
don't
like
mess
those
with it. It's so
those
good.
crazy, funky, like barnyardy, horse blankety,
Right.
dirty socks.
Yeah, barnyard
Saisons.
means manure.
Yeah,
by
those
the
are
way.
fun. I enjoy
That's
those.
true.
But it's
When
more
people
like
say that about wine, I'm like, no, it smells like shit. Like barnyard. Like you're just being nice.
those are fun. Like I like having crazy beers like that. But it's like you're doing a thing. Like I'm drinking this beer and I'm trying it and I'm thinking about it. This is a Saison that's just like it's a Saison and you can sit and you can drink it. And I love a good Saison. And I like a good traditional, not crazy, nothing super crazy going on. This is really nice. I might put it in my top 3 to 5. I'm not going to be as bold as you.
You're more critical of it because it seems to be your favorite style.
It's one
more
of my
often than not.
favorite styles, but it's really good.
I always appreciate a good one, but it's not my favorite style. But this is absolutely incredible. I
agree. It's not my go-to. Like when I go to a brewery and say we get Saison, I wouldn't. I'd probably
I'll
most
stick
people want an IPA or whatever.
Yeah, I stick to dark beers normally when I go out, but this is God.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I'm a huge hophead, but when I need something else, just kind of break it up, or don't want to drink our IPAs because we want to save it.
Because you want to sell it?
As you saw, I came in here and brought other people's beer.
Yeah, that's true.
Came in with cans from Levante. Cheers, guys at Levante.
Yes, we love you guys.
Yep.
Pretty awesome. So let's. Should we do it? Should we do the? So now you guys are calling this New
England Pale,
a pale ale, not a New England IPA, but a New England PA.
Yeah. So it's lower alcohol, 5.1, but it still has flaked oats, flaked wheat. We use I think we have Citra,
tropical,
Equinox, and Haltar Blanc hops.
What I like about it, it's not super chewy.
I'm sorry,
but it doesn't have that like. And I'm not even going to start because we have ranted and raved about hazy IPAs on this podcast for like it seems like the last 50 episodes. It's come up, and like it's just super saturated, and I feel like a lot of them are all the same, and it's all anybody wants to drink, and it's annoying because like I want a lager, but no, you won't put a lager on because you want to sell a hazy IPA,
right?
But all that having already been said. I like this because it's not like pulpy orange juice with pepper, which is what I feel like a lot of them are.
Yeah.
It has a nice like citrus
sugary,
tropical
I think a lot of them are just very sweet. I don't feel like ours are.
This actually has flavor.
Well,
Whereas a lot of the other ones are just like, here's a lot of hoppiness, here's like a little bit of lactose, and then you might get
we
something
don't mess
else
with
in it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have our Northeast IPA, the IPA, which is a little higher alcohol, which kind of hits on those cylinders.
Yeah.
Although we haven't used lactose, but the pale ale I think was just something. So we did a traditional pale ale where we used caramel malts. It was a little less hazy. It really didn't sell as much.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, especially now where we don't have a Northeast on tap this week.
Mm-hmm.
We will next week. This is a nice footholder for that.
Right.
Placeholder, and so it kind of scratches the itch a little bit without being that juice bomb. So there's a little bit more balance, I think, in this one.
Yep. So I'm curious to know, since we're on the subject. Since you mentioned you're a hophead, you're big into IPAs and stuff like that. You strike me as more of like an old school or like West Coast style. I mean, I don't know. I'm putting words in your mouth now.
Yeah.
But do you like hazy IPAs? Are you into that? Are you like super into it? Do you make it because people buy it or?
I like them all.
Okay.
I kind of get tired. It's like eating a hamburger every night. So with Northeast IPAs, I like them. I love hamburgers.
Me too. That's what got me where I am now.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't love a hamburger?
Live once.
Well,
Who cares? Fucking hamburgers and IPA.
Fucking YOLO.
But no, I appreciate all styles. Especially just brewing at the homebrew shop. Brewing those array of styles opened my eyes to trying more things, and especially now with the craft beer, boom as it is. You go to different breweries and they have all kinds of different styles. So I like occasional West Coast IPA. I don't know. That's really kind of when I really started drinking was Victory Hop Devil. That was
my first craft beer that I really got into. Yeah,
it's so interesting drinking that, going back now and trying that kind of as palate shift as kind of the what's available has shifted as well. But appreciate those beers and like to go back. And then I like the Northeast, well crafted Northeast IPAs. Trillium, Treehouse.
Yeah,
I think a bunch of other breries, not only in New England, but even around here, all over.
Well, I think we take for granted how many great. To have Victory in our backyard.
Yeah,
right. 90s.
Yeah.
To have a hop double when it was a hop double. I was in that
even
bar
Stouts has been around forever.
Stouts, Victory, Trogs has been around for a while.
Yeah.
Stouts did our beer for White Dog for a long time. We're lucky to have those. I went to school in New England, so I had Magic Hat and Red Hooks and I forget the other one that was big back then. Even
Harpoon.
Harpoon. That's
yeah.
the one I was going to say. Harpoon and even Saranac, but that was when it came to craft beer, it was Saranac variety pack, no one wanted the last three. I forget what the hell it was, but it was always there's three that would always sit in the corner. But we're lucky that we live in an area where we have a Victory in the backyard, and I think what's nice about us is when you say are we selling Northeast IPA because we choose to, or we want to, or we're just trying to appease the crowd. It's a little bit of everything. We love it. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I do like it. It's one of my favorite beers. But
you don't have to apologize for what you like.
But we have the gamut. We have Scottish Ale, we have Stout, we have
you have a Slam and Kolsch, you have an awesome
Saison. We're just not that brewery that's just pushing out cloudy Northeast IPAs. We're trying to give you a little bit of everything. And if you are that guy, but I'd say, of course, that's our number one seller, and we do them well. I think Corey does an amazing job with them. But the other beers are just pretty on point. And you're here on off week where we had a couple big events, so we don't even have a cloudy Northeast.
Right. Yeah.
But we're going to still have some pretty dynamite beers in rotation.
Yeah. I think the big thing too is we just start offering growler sales. So
yeah. Those are new.
Starting the 32-ounce growler. So
beer's going out the door now.
So that trying to figure that out.
That kind of ramps things up. Yeah,
definitely the Northeast. Are,
just put in perspective. We have a 1-barrel system.
Yeah,
that pushes out 2 half barrels.
Yeah,
2 kegs, as listeners will probably understand.
Yeah.
And he's brewing his ass off.
Yeah, and once you start selling it to go out the door, you're going to be working harder and harder.
Yeah.
I imagine. So, do you guys have space to expand to a bigger? You're probably not thinking about it right now, but
we are.
If you would need, you probably are. You probably should be.
Yeah, right.
To be fair, but you have space to expand, bigger system, bigger.
Well, the thing about this building is cool is it goes up. That ceiling, that's a faux
That's the
ceiling.
amazing thing is you can always build
there's
upwards.
always up.
and a lot of these people that make brew equipment, they'll work with it. They're like, do you want a fat pot, a skinny pot, a long pot, tall pot, whatever you need. So I think this ceiling goes up another 4 to maybe even 6 feet. It goes to the roof.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
some clearance.
we have some ideas, kind of where we're sitting would probably be some pots.
Okay.
And we'd expand out there, or maybe we talked about putting the pots, putting an addition out there, and you can look through. And so there's some stuff. We're in the works of now that we know that it works and that the beer is great, and that even everybody you're looking at right here is a Honeybrook audience, which we thought we're in a small town. I don't know what the population is here, but we wouldn't.
To put it in perspective, we passed a horse and buggy on the way.
That's true. Multiples.
I was going to say just one.
Well, one was tied up at the bank.
Yeah. Believe me, they come in here and drink too.
I won't lie. I thought the one that was at the bank was a statue.
Yeah,
because the horse was really still.
A well-trained horse.
It was probably stoned.
It probably was Stoned Horse.
I don't know. There's nothing if you look at the was it the Brandywine Valley beer scene or brew scene, the map. So they have an awesome map where they have all the the breweries plotted out. There's nothing really in Western Chester County where we are.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was not the main reason, but it is
It helps.
convenient.
Well, a lot of
Yeah.
places are oversaturated. Look at Phoenixville. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love all the breweries in Phoenixville.
Right.
Yeah.
We sell all their beer in my restaurant, but
Yeah, it's harder and harder to find those pockets where there's like an
you
underserved
look-
market for beer.
It's
Yeah.
funny. Well, I'll get you a copy of the map when we're sitting here, and I'll show you. Like, there's us, and then it's like just
Yeah,
like
all
an
around,
explosion
yeah.
of everything
Yeah.
else. And
Yeah.
It's like
Well, Honeybrook is such a cool town. It's a one
Yeah.
traffic light town, and it's just the support, community support. Has
People
been
are solid.
awesome. Our
Solid
Oktoberfest
people.
was
Yeah.
incredible, and just
Yeah,
we're kind of the local bar. Especially
Good.
with cocktails and the great food and the beer and just the vibe. It's really cool.
It's awesome. I mean, there's a great crowd here tonight. Everybody seems like they're having a good time.
I guarantee you, all these guys are within 5 miles of this place.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Maybe
really
less.
awesome. That's really awesome.
and then we see on Saturdays and Sundays, we get people who
like,
are
travel
more of a
through,
destination.
Yeah.
Because we're on 322 and 10, so
Tucked away.
Reading, Lancaster, Westchester, Downingtown.
Yeah, you get to a couple stops.
Morgantown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're a destination.
Yeah,
and you
and
see when
placement's
people check in.
everything with
Yep.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're along the way to other places, like I don't get to travel too much to different breweries when I'm not recording a podcast. But like if you're along the way, I'll definitely stop. So it's important to be
No,
there.
you come here, go to Boniface. You got to keep
yeah.
going a little bit farther down.
Victory
but-
has a place not too far south
far
from
here.
here.
Yep.
Levante's not too far. Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
downtown.
you get on 23, you could hit
Even
not
hit-
in distilleries
Like
and
you
wineries
could
too.
make
I
your
mean,
way to
that's
Hidden
not-
River if you're coming up this way.
Doug and those guys are great.
Yep.
Hidden
Love
River's
them.
awesome. Yeah.
Haven't been there in a long time.
Great
Yeah.
people.
We need to get back there.
Great people.
Cool spot. So
We got one more on
we
the
got we got
flight. Yeah.
we got George W over here, the German
G-Dub.
German wheat.
So it's a German wheat, Guten Zeiten, which is good times.
Guten Zeiten. I like that. Ooh, that's delicious.
So that's straight up just German wheat. you
That's
know,
really nice.
Not a whole lot to it. Just let the yeast kind of
Yeah.
do its thing, and
It's interesting to contrast that with the American wheat.
Yeah.
You don't often
Yep.
see a brewery that has each, like an American style and a
And
German style.
you just had a
Like a
little
whip beer.
higher hop profile
Yeah.
Right.
before that, and then you're going.
Yeah,
back
and you
down.
have more of the citrus. It's a little crispier and bitier, the American version, whereas this is more. It's got that full German like bready character to it, which is really nice. Like I feel like in this, the yeast is definitely the star.
yeah. So we had that for Oktoberfest. We brewed that once before, but it might be a mainstay. It's a good. Maybe as we transition to the cooler months, we might maybe do something a little different with it. But it's just a great cold weather or warm weather beer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good.
Really,
It's fun to say too.
Yeah, Guten Zeiten. Guten Zeiten,
That's
Fraulein.
my problem. When I go bartend, like I know it's like that's German wheat, so like someone will say, "I'm getting the Guten Zeiten." I'm like, this guy from around here,
A
like,
what now?
like this is a true Pennsylvania Dutch guy. He's speaking to me in German. I'm like,
Guten Zeiten.
I'm like, oh, that's one of our beers.
Well, now that we've got a couple sips left to go, but I feel like this is as good a time as any, Wayne,
Oh, there's
to
that
go into some
transition.
happy,
I always,
fun time stuff.
I always feel like I'm ready, and I'm not.
Yeah, it's okay. I
like push buttons
I never
on my
feel
phone
like I'm ready.
and like do
Beers
shit.
are kicking
But
in.
there we are.
Yeah, right. There's a gradient to the podcast.
We're doing our job.
It starts out very coherent, and then it devolves
The
from
next
there.
round is Coors Light, Miller Lite, and Heinecken.
Right? Exactly. Dude, I am really lost. I'm like 5 folders back from where I need to be.
Wow.
Hold on.
You
There
had
we
to
go.
know this was coming, by the way.
I did, and I had it ready, and then it wasn't there. Cheers, Internet!
Hey!
And welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the podcast trivia segment that is bigger than Jesus. Today,
Physically or
both.
okay?
Emotionally, mentally. Today, we are playing a game that involves fake beer names that were not written by James Lambert.
Hey!
I actually did the work myself this time. We are returning to Libation or Fabrication's Bastard Brother Band or Beer.
Oh, cool.
In which I will give you the name of something, and you must tell me whether that thing is the name of a band or the name of a beer. We'll alternate who goes first round robin style, and the winner gets crowned king of the podcast. And we will begin in time, honor, and tradition to my left with Dan. Tell me, is this a beer or a band? This is Ginger Joe.
Ooh, I feel like that is probably a solo musician.
So a band.
Band.
For the purposes of this game, we'll say band.
It's probably out of Nashville or
Eric.
something.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Band or beer, Ginger Joe.
Well, I was on tour with Ginger Jane,
Okay.
so I know it's a beer.
You're a roadie, too.
Right. Okay.
In addition to being an engineer, you're a roadie. Wait, what'd you say?
You wear a lot of hats. Are you a blacksmith, too?
From the waist down.
From the waist. I'm not sure what that means. It's a hell of a hammer. And finally, Corey, Ginger Joe, band or beer?
That's a band.
Saying it's a band. Eric is the only one who was correct. Because it is a beer. Well, sort of. Not a beer as such, but an alcoholic ginger beer from across the pond. The illustrious House of Stone, ancestral seat of the Stones of London, are the proud originators and present purveyors of Ginger Joe and world-famed Stone's ginger wine.
I thought it would actually be a ginger-flavored beer.
Yeah, I kind of.
No, it's like
I mean coffee. I mean Joe.
Oh, right. Oh,
Sorry.
Joe. Okay, fair enough.
that'd
No,
be rough.
it's a ginger beer or ginger
Right,
ale,
right.
but with alcohol. Yes, Ginger Joe is a beer, more or less.
right,
Moving
Eric.
on to our
Eric
second
plus
name
one.
of the game, and Eric is going to guess first on this one, and this is Bright Ass Tank Tops.
Gotta be a beer.
Gotta be a beer, says Eric. Corey, what do you think?
That's a beer.
Saying that's a beer, and finally,
I'm
Dan.
going to say beer as well.
Everybody saying beer. Everybody is correct.
Hey.
It is a beer. It is a rum barrel-aged key lime goza from Unknown Brewing, who you may remember from our last episode as the makers of Kitten Snuggles and Rise Against Clowns.
I do remember that.
Yes, Unknown marketing manager Scotty Kent said, "This one is pretty simple. It's the kind of beer you drink when you're at the beach in a bright-ass tank top."
Well, that's all right. Good
Moving
script.
on.
I got it. Visual.
Yeah, there you go. Theater of the mind. Our next name of the game, and Corey is going to guess first on this one.
It's
and
a band.
We're getting crazy now.
Wait, do I have to wait?
Let me tell you
All
the
right.
name first, because I really like this one. Let's get out of this terrible sandwich shop.
You got a 50-50
It's got to
chance.
be a beer.
Saying that's a beer. Dan, what do you think?
I think that's a band.
Dan is saying it's a band. Ooh, we've got one band, we've got one beer. Eric, what do you think? Who are you going to agree with?
He was probably in this band.
Well, my ex-fiddler used to play harmonica
Your ex-fiddler who used to play harmonica.
in...
So your ex-fiddler, ex-harmonica player
Yes, exactly. You got it.
was in this band?
No, he likes to drink that
Or
beer.
he drank that beer. He may have been in the band. He couldn't have drank the beer because it is, in fact, a band. It was initially the solo project of Second City's Tony Mendoza, but eventually expanded to include other Chicago-based improv veterans. The self-dubbed Goof Pop group started formulating the brand of indie pop in the early 2000s. Their self-titled debut EP was released in January 2006. They were picked up by Roy Dale Records, and they released another album called Listening the following year.
Was everyone else from Second City, too?
They weren't necessarily from Second City, but they were all Chicago improv.
I bet you were going to
people.
see them on VH1. Where are they now?
Do you, by
maybe.
any chance, have the names of who else was in that?
They were listed. I did not put them in the notes
I'm
because
gonna
I
look
felt
that
like
up.
that was too many words.
I'm going to look it up.
But yeah, let's get out of this terrible sandwich shop. Feel free to look it up. Moving on to the next name of the game, and we come back around to Dan to guess first. I love this one as well. This one is The Birds Are Spies. They report to the trees.
I didn't realize there'd be a second part.
There's two clauses in that name. Band
That
or beer.
sounds... God, that could be either.
That's kind of the point.
I know that's the point of the game.
It's like German techno or
I'm going to
something.
say...
It's like, how do you put it on a billboard?
Yeah, right.
I mean, like,
I'm going to say
That's
that
how I look at it.
That's a beer.
Dan is saying that's a beer. Eric, what do you think?
like I was saying, how could you put it on a marquee or a billboard or a
Or a
poster?
flyer?
Like,
How could you put it on a
like,
can or a bottle?
I think the can would have abbreviations, and I'm going.
Or a smaller font?
Yeah, it's encrypted. Let's just go Beer.
Beer. Saying beer.
I'm
Dan
thinking way too much into this.
I'll go. I got to play catch up. I'll go band.
All right, Corey is going band. That is a good strategy because it is, in fact, a band from Oslo, Norway.
Of course.
An emo group that existed from 2004 to 2007, and they may have released a demo and an album, or they may have released 4 albums. I don't know. The internet is very fuzzy.
How did you find this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They have an oddly sparse Facebook page. I mean, they existed, but maybe the trees found out that they knew too much. Moving on to our next name of the game, and Eric is going to guess first on this one, and this is Soft Xmas, a.k.a. Pretty Pleased with a Cherry on Top.
I'm going to go with beer again.
All right, going with beer. You've said beer for every one so far.
I get a 50% chance.
50-50 chance.
He's taking a page out of Steph's book.
That's Steph's strategy. She always gives the same answer.
It's all of the above.
Sounds like a movie.
Sounds like a movie. That's not one of the options, unfortunately.
I will go with beer.
Beer. All right, Dan. Everybody said beer so far. What do you think?
I think I will say beer as well.
Dan is also saying beer. Everybody is correct. It is a beer. It is a big old 10.9% Imperial Stout from Evil Twin. It is.
I think I actually may have seen that on. They have so many things that we got to put on Tap Hunter, and it's like scrolls around or whatever.
Oh, right. It's the Christmas version of Soft Dookie, which you may have heard of. This one brewed with vanilla and sour cherries.
So if you drink too much of that,
Yeah.
a soft dookie.
But Soft Dookie at Christmas. They say if Christmas is tough for you, Soft Xmas will definitely sweeten dark times of endless caroling, abundance of food, and difficult domestic obligations. We are moving on.
We get a clone recipe maybe for that.
We are moving on to the final.
Maybe your Dookie starter, please.
Dookie encouragement. Our final name of the game. Guys, everybody has 3 points.
Oh, shit.
This is a big one.
Wow.
This is for all the fucking marbles right here.
All right.
All the marbles.
Big tiebreaker.
Yeah. And Corey, you get the honor of going first. Our final name of the game for the win. Is it a band? Is it a beer? This one is. Are these my pants?
That's a beer.
Saying that is a beer. Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to say band.
Dan is saying that's a band. Oh, this is tough. Eric, what do you think?
Well, you know my answer. Why would I go against it?
All right, you're going to go beer again?
Why not?
Oh,
band.
Choice. It is a band. Are These My Pants is an experimental jazz pop, mainstream progressive metal rock alternative Apple core band.
Wow. That sounds terrible as a beer or a band.
Yep, from Montreal.
Oh, all right.
They have a Facebook
that
page.
explains a lot.
That explains everything. Also, their Facebook page has 64 followers and a total of 2 posts. One of these posts is from 2010 that reads, "Hey, what's up? Patrons in the house." That reads, "We are alive." And they have another post from 2011 that reads, "Since we are dead, do not expect any music to come your way unless we make some music," right? So I don't know. Maybe they never existed.
Can we get on the play here, maybe? Let's reach out
you
to
should.
them.
You
That's
should
probably
reach
in our
out.
price range.
Yeah,
Might be our New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, they haven't existed on the internet in 7 years, so
Well, apparently they're dead.
Got to bring them back.
Exactly.
they are dead. And until they're brought back from the dead, they're not going to make any more music. So we're adding up the scoreboard real quick to
think Corey has
see
it.
who our big winners are. And surprise, surprise, Dan, who's been on a
Damn.
hot fucking streak lately. You know what? Are you logging into the Google Drive and cheating?
It's rigged.
I didn't cheat this time. No, I don't.
I didn't cheat this time. Looking at my notes, Dan has 4 points. 4 out of 6.
I think the problem is, since we've lived together for 2 years in our adult years, I know how you think.
Okay, that's
Or
fair.
you stole his laptop.
Yeah. Well, it's also in the cloud. Like, you could just look at it if you really wanted to.
Cheater.
But Eric and Corey, strong showing, 50% success rate, 3 points apiece.
All right.
That is why it always pays to say the same answer for every question, because I usually do a 50-50 mix.
It's a good strategy.
So Dan is the king of the podcast.
How do you think I got this far, man?
Yeah, right? Just keep doing it till it works. This is,
Best
of course,
engineer ever.
Stay the course, man.
as a blacksmith,
Sometimes.
mediocre at best. This is, of course, the part of the podcast where we give a shout-out to our most generous patrons on Patreon, 2 of which just walked in the door.
Yes, they
Welcome.
did.
lady and gentlemen, one of which also just did our taxes. We would like to thank very sincerely the following individuals: James Lamberg,
Come on, baby, make it hurt so good.
Joe Mansell, Eric Dixon,
I want it in my mouth.
Yup, Nate Falkman,
Oh, that smell.
Brian Mills,
Fucking A right.
Wolfgang Von Colt,
I'm so fancy. You didn't even know?
Jen McDonald,
This is fire.
Marilyn Engelman,
Hey, Wayne.
Josh Price,
I like hands.
Ron McDonald,
Dun, 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 dun.
and Victoria Miles.
Drugs.
Yeah, drug. If you want to find out how you can get on this list and other perks, you can go to patreon.com/beerbusters to sign up to become a patron of the podcast. Dan, what do we do now?
I think we got to settle up.
Let's pay our tab.
Yes.
Say, Yvonne, remember when I said I'd have to send away to NASA to calculate your bar tab?
Oh, yeah. We all had a good laugh, Mo.
The results came back today. You owe me $70 billion.
This episode of Beer Busters is brought to you in part by Vinyl Me Please. Vinyl Me Please is a Record of the Month club. It is the best damn record club, in fact. Every month, VMP features one album that is essential to the modern vinyl collection and sends it to thousands of members worldwide. Artists include Betty Davis, Kevin Morby, Fiona Apple, Beck, Gorillaz, and I myself am the proud owner of a special marble copy of Weezer's Pinkerton, thanks to Vinyl Me Please.
Which is a good album.
Which is a great album. Each record is pressed exclusively for VMP members with features you can't get anywhere else. Things like bonus tracks, inserts, colored variants, and comes packed with a 12x12 album-inspired art print and a custom cocktail pairing recipe. And they know that trusting someone else to curate your record collection can be pretty scary. And of course, you've had your whole life to fine-tune your taste, and they certainly don't want to get in the way. That's why they feature swaps, where you can exchange a featured record with one from the VMP archives or a limited set of store titles. That way, even though you're trying new things, you won't be forced to take a title you already have or know in advance that isn't right for you. There's no contracts, no strings, no guilt trips, no fees, and you get top-shelf customer service to make sure you get the answers and help you need as soon as humanly possible. So if you want to sign up for VMP, which you will not regret, head over to joinvmp.com/beerbusters to sign up today. That is joinvmp.com/beerbusters.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
So through the magic of editing, 2 more fights have magically appeared. Was that your magic of editing move, the karate move? Very nice.
It was my patient defense.
I approve. What I find intriguing, though, is these glasses are different than the ones that we had on the last one.
They're sexier. They're curvy.
They are.
You're correct.
How many different styles of tasting glasses do you have?
About 45. No, I mean, minus 40.
Did you engineer them yourself?
Well, back in my glass blowing days, coming off the carnival.
Wow.
Nice.
Very nice. But regardless of the glasses they're in, should we start with...
Yeah, what should we start with? What do we even have?
Vespia?
So we have the Fest, the Brown, the Stout, and a West Coast IPA.
Ooh.
I'm drinking the Fest now just because I love it and I think it's
All
going to
right,
go away.
festive.
Let's do it.
Let's be festive.
Why not?
Festivus for the rest of us.
Are you airing your grievances as well?
Well, if you look at the glass, that's one of my grievances, and read it, it's not Oktoberfest.
Oh, October Festival.
October Festival 2017. It says it on the other side of the glass.
Very proper.
Yeah, well, we made that same mistake twice. I have October Festival 2018 glasses as well.
Hey, you know,
Sorry, I like to beat myself up a little
broken
bit.
clock is right twice a day.
Exactly.
You get one of those glasses, you get a free T-shirt.
There you go.
It's the beer that counts, right?
T-shirt that says Suburban Brewing Company, established 2012.
That's right. We'll get it right one of these times.
It's just a number.
That's just a number. This is nice.
Ooh, it is.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I should be drinking it.
Yeah,
You should be.
Oh, here.
What are you drinking?
I mean, you're
Without
welcome to share some of this if you
Drinking
want
this
to.
stout. I'll try this.
I'll try it, as if you haven't tried it before.
But like my introduction to like October, like I always thought like Sammy Adams, like when we're talking about like your first craft beers and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Like when I had a Sammy Adams Oktoberfest, I was like, it was so overly malty and
Yeah.
just like sweet and gross. And, like to me, it almost tastes like pumpkin before pumpkin beer. Like, I was like, there's like that funky, gourdy, squashy taste to it. Never liked it. And I've never really been an Oktoberfest fan, but once again, I'm biased. But I really, he beats himself up about it. His beers. This is probably my favorite Oktoberfest I've ever had. But I don't know. I can't speak for you.
It's really good. I mean, I've really started to really like Oktoberfest beers, Märzen's Fest beers, whatever you want to call them. Like that whole thing. I actually think this feels like a weird, like, backhanded compliment. But Yingling's Oktoberfest is really good.
Never had it.
It's really
It actually
good.
is. Yeah, it's.
I'd love to try it.
I mean, everybody kind of
there's lagers awesome.
Yeah, I mean they make good beer.
You go around any bar around and say, "Can I get a lager?" You're getting a Yingling.
You're getting Yingling. And we were there recently. We did the tour. It's so cool. And they make really good beers. I think they get forgotten about because, they're kind of considered almost like a macro brewery, even though they are technically a craft brewery. Yeah. But their Oktoberfest is solid. And it's a really great style. And you mentioned pumpkin beers, and it is my personal mission. I have decided this year, this fall season, that I want Oktoberfest beers to be more popular than pumpkin beers.
I'll sign on to that.
Yeah, he doesn't
I'm
want to
okay with it
beer.
for sure.
Yeah.
This is absolutely
They're
delicious.
just so much better.
I just want to to me, I love it. I don't know.
It's really nice. It's got that maltiness, but like you said, it's not like that super sweet. There's not like cloying.
It's like a different
sweetness in
take
there.
on the style.
I can't tell you that I've had hundreds of. I mean, there's beers I like, and it's I've learned earlier in life that it's not my favorite beer.
Right.
So I've stopped ordering them.
Yeah.
But when I had Corey's, I was like, this is really, really, really good.
It's a little brighter, I think, than most of them I come across.
Like,
I
I feel like I could drink this all day.
Yeah.
Versus, like, if I went to a traditional Oktoberfest, I'd have a fest beer, but I'd probably drink the Kolsch or something like a Brewing.
Yeah.
Like something like that's going to be lighter.
Well, it's not a technically an Oktoberfest. We call it a fest.
Fest.
Right?
Sorry.
Fest
Fest.
beer. Right. It's not 100% true to style.
Right.
We cheated because we.
You also didn't make it in Germany, which
Well, that's true.
Or in March, or
Yeah.
lager in a cave. But I think it was early August. We were like, let's have our Oktoberfest on September 22nd. I was like, oh shit. I was just getting ready to go away on vacation, and like, all right, so we got to fire that up once I get back. So, kind of, it's a fest beer.
I love it.
It's there.
I'm sorry. I like
it was there. Yeah, I mean, it was popular for our Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So we're running through the last keg.
If you're not noticing, this is him beating himself up. Like,
I think it is a solid beer. It's easy drinkable. It's malty. It's crisp. It's great.
Yeah.
I just filled mine. It's almost gone. So.
Yeah. So we've mentioned the Oktoberfest fest that you had here, the actual event.
Yeah.
What did you guys do for that?
So we had souvenir mugs, and we decorated the outside. So outside of here, we have a nice concrete slab where the food trailer's set up, picnic tables outside. So we put a tent out there, decorated it. We had German fare on the menu. We spotlighted the Kolsch, the German wheat, and the Fest, along with all our other beers.
I think it's the first time I tried the fest, though.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we didn't bust it out until
So
then.
basically, you got to. We charge $20. You got a mug to take home with you. You got your first fill on us.
You got a taster that said 2017.
Not that. No, we give him a whole mug. It said like victory.
Yeah.
We give out victory pound glass.
Hey, it's a good glass. Man.
We had a live band.
Yeah,
Good band. Cool.
5-star ratings there.
Yep, they're here. Stein lifting contest.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
We did giveaways, 50-50. We had we had 200 some people show
No,
up.
it's
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere. I mean, like
Yeah.
all
Honeybrook
some
was
buggies
here.
pulled up. It was cool.
That's cool. Can't go wrong with a good Oktoberfest.
So it's our first
Celebration.
real big event here.
Yeah.
So we had tickets, online, and you could get them here, and it's just really we had no we had limited expectations, I guess.
It exceeded our expectations.
It totally did. It totally did in every way. Beer consumption, everybody just coming out, just having a great time. I mean, not one bad thing happened. It was
Good.
just awesome. Yeah, well, the only bad thing was we ran out of food. So
That is kind of
other than
that's
that,
a good problem to have.
It's a good bad thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm curious. What did you have on the menu, food-wise?
We had some of the stuff that we usually have kind of German-esque stuff, pierogies, pretzels.
But pierogies are Polish.
It's
German.
Yeah, we
Polish.
put like something German on them or something.
Put something, a little sauerkraut.
We said it.
Pork, copious amounts of pork.
Pretzels.
Bratwurst.
Yeah.
Pretzels.
What the heck did we do?
He said pretzels, yeah.
Pretzels, yeah.
Tacos.
Tacos.
Chalupas.
Very traditional tacos.
Well, that's what's funny. I mean, honest. I'm gonna get you started like that. Like all these other breweries have Oktoberfest. I'm like, hold on, let's just,
Hey man,
we always do.
Listen,
we do German beer.
It's
all the time.
Oktoberfest in America as long as the food's good. Like
well,
it's fine.
I respectfully disagree. There should be mostly German fare.
I would love to have great German food, but I would not be upset to go to an Oktoberfest and have a really good fucking taco. Like that's fine. Tacos are good too.
True, tacos are an anytime food.
I would expect German stuff, and that I mean, like, I kind of agree with you. Like, I mean, like the one we do in Exton, my restaurant Exton, it's like we've been known, like we've always done. It's German, 24/7. There, we got our own pigs in, we butcher them, and we make bratwurst, knotwurst, all kinds of stuff out of it. We make stroganoffs and Wiener schnitzels and stuff every day of the week. It's not just because it's Oktoberfest that day. So it's important for us, to be like, hey, we have an Oktoberfest. We want it to be the best.
Right.
And we go bananas on it there. And we just kind of like wanted to see what would happen here. We kind of threw it up and opened the doors, and we did our version of Exton's Suburban Oktoberfest here, but in a smaller scale. Because the one in Exton, we invite other breweries, and they come and they represent themselves. We have 12 different brewers with their tents come out, and it's like a beer festival. That's where that glass that you're drinking out of
right.
into
Okay.
play. So that's when you go around tent to tent and taste the beer.
Right.
But at the brewery, we're not going to invite 12 different breweries to our brewery. We're going to bring our own beer. So we're just like, okay, well, how can we do this? We got a mug. We sell the mug in-house for $10. So it's like, we're going to give you the mug for free, and we're going to fill your first beer, and you're going to have a live band and music and games from 50-50 and raffles and Stein lifts and all that stuff. So basically, you pay like $5 to get in when all is said and done. And I mean, we ran out of mugs. Like we had 12 mugs left. I mean, we ordered 200 of them.
Wow,
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, for our first one. So
awesome.
That's impressive.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's
like
cool.
I think that's what's really cool about beer. It's a cult following. Like if you build it, they'll come kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, and if it's good,
And that's that, like, people want to do that kind of stuff, and like to be able to, like, oh, down the street there's this cool new brewery that's having an Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
I can go eat.
And we made it kid friendly, and I mean the games. I mean the style. I mean 20 people that did the style lift, and we did it this year. It was a little bit different. I think we charged $10 to get in the Stein lift competition. It was basically essentially a 50-50. So we filled your Stein. So basically, you got the drinker Stein, so that holds 2.5 beers, almost 3 beers. So you got a liter of beer for $5.
Yeah.
And you're in this competition, and if you win, the other $5 goes to you. So I think the payout was $120 or something like that.
Sounds like that was obviously a huge hit. But you guys have one coming up, right?
Yeah,
A month for
Halloween, watch out. I mean, it's going to get crazy, spooky in here.
This is
Boo.
Halloween.
So there's costume contest? Is there pumpkin carving?
Yeah, pumpkin carving, costume contest.
Yeah, we'll have a DJ and all kinds of special
really
effects
good
here.
DJ. We got some cool stuff happen. We're gonna morph this into a haunted brewery.
Cool.
It's gonna be pretty wild.
So it's on the 27th,
Yeah. So
Saturday before.
we got to figure this out.
We're gonna have themed pint glasses that say Halloween 1997.
Thriller 1982.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Gobble, gobble, happy Halloween.
Well, that's cool though. Yeah. So that'll be. What was the date on that again? I'm sorry.
27th.
27th,
So
and
a
this is
little
coming
over
out on the
19th.
19th.
So it's a little
yeah.
over a week.
So if you're listening to this fresh off the press, you've got time to get there and put on your best costume or practice your pumpkin carving.
Or both.
Or
Yeah.
both.
Yeah,
no cover.
Yeah, we got to figure that out because we're getting a lot of interest. So I don't know if we should have a sign up or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no cover, just come party.
Cool.
Drink some beer, but I think it's going to fill up pretty quick. So
That's cool. I'd be interested to see how you guys morph this into the haunted brewery.
it's gonna. We have some actually. One of the ladies over there at the bar, she's really into that Halloween. And actually, Jeff, who won, he has a sign. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Their house is all decked out. So a lot of, and this guy Smokey, they all. I guess it's like a brewery thing. Like they're all way into it. They're like, hey, if you need to borrow anything, man, I got smoke machines. I got
it's strobe lights.
Well, that's what's so cool about just being such community based.
Very
everybody
giving.
Wants to help out.
Well, when we were kids, remember we always
we
did
used
the
to do
haunted
haunted
basement.
all the
It
time.
was great. Dry ice in the
fucking-
cauldron,
yeah,
spilling
spaghetti.
over.
Dry
like
ice,
brains.
glow in the dark paint. I listened
Yeah.
to 9 Inch Nails and put like fucking cobwebs in the corners. It was awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Speaking of fun,
There's no
I've
beer.
started drinking this brown ale,
I've
and
held
it's
it.
fun to drink.
It's autumn, so we did that also for the
I love it.
Oktoberfest. It's a little different variation of our brown ale.
Oh, wow.
A little more malty.
Yeah.
It is. What's the ABV on that one?
6.6.
It's really good. I was just asking because I just got the feeling like it was slightly on the higher end. Like it just had a little bit of a. Whew.
Yeah, the one prior was an English brown. That was a little lower ABV.
Okay.
So just being kind of like the outpost here in Western Chester County, to some extent we consciously dial down the ABVs for certain beers.
Yeah.
We want people to hang out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just if you're throwing up big 7-8s, people may only have one or two and then head out. So
Yeah. And they may not make it all the way out.
You most likely don't live anywhere near Honeybrook.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I don't know if it's because, if it's coming off the fest beer that's doing it, or because I just ate that hot dog, but I get like a pretzel aftertaste from the brown ale. Like,
definitely
it has
that malty. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of Munich malt in there
I
that
see
I
that.
think
That's
kind of
good.
goes in that direction.
Yeah.
And a little bit of chocolate malt. I think it kind of all ties itself together and
Yeah.
gets
That's
that
really nice.
kind of just kind of bready kind of taste to it. Yeah.
You make really good Pennsylvania beers. Like these are all they make me feel like I'm in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's cool because we don't have so coming out next week we'll have an IPA and then a Northeast IPA and then hopefully we still have the West Coast IPA. But we're never really IPA heavy. We usually have 2 or 3 at the most, kind of in the mix. So it's tough because you got to keep brewing those. It'd be helpful for me to get ahead and have a bunch of those on tap. But it is nice having like a stout, the brown, the Fest, German wheat, all those other non-IPA or Northeast IPAs on tap. And just surprised every day you read the sales reports and how many people are ordering those. And it's just kind of helps. But obviously IPAs are what.
But when you make
keeps
a
the
great
lights on.
IPA, man, I'll come in, I just see every pint glass with this juicy, orangey. I'm like, that's why they came here.
And see, that's the thing.
So that gets them in the door, but they'll try other stuff.
Right.
definitely.
And I know we didn't really want to say it because we've said it ad nauseum, but the thing about
It's going to be the new name of our podcast, ad nauseum.
The thing about any style of beer, whether it sells through the roof or
That's
is
a good
overrated or
podcast
not,
name. I'm writing that down.
There you go. If it's good, it's good. I will not knock anybody for drinking what they like, but if it's a well-executed New England Northeastern IPA and it's done right and it tastes good, I'll give you all the credit in the world because you deserve it.
Yep.
Just I think most of them are not, But if it's good, it's good.
Hey, Dan.
Well, I think they've come
Shut
a
up
long
and
way.
drink this stout. They have come along.
that
I'm
being
sorry.
said-
I didn't mean to derail your conversation.
That being said, I am more of a fan of stouts than I am of IPAs.
Yeah, we're bringing this to Kennett tomorrow.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's an American stout. So it's a little more hoppier.
Wow. This stout is absolutely incredible.
It's
though.
really nice. And it does have that, it's got that bitter hoppy end to it that gives it that, I get the American twist.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
Now, I know we said earlier that with all the relationships you have with distilleries and all, you're thinking of aging. Can I put in a vote for this one to be aged?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good.
You're thinking of aging. You don't really have a choice. It happens to all of us, man.
That's true. Put this in a nice whiskey barrel or something, or bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
And let me know when it releases.
All right, yeah.
If you need a taste tester in the process, too, let me know.
Come back and check
hopefully
it out.
soon, yeah.
It'll be happening.
Speaking of which, have you guys ever done Firkins?
Not yet.
Once in college.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
Your experimental
I
year.
was young. I needed the money.
Oh, okay.
All right, fair enough.
I thought that was
no.
a Blumpkin.
Okay. Yeah.
Different kin.
Yeah.
Different kid.
Yeah. Not here. No, I don't know. We're thinking about it.
Are Firkins still cool? I don't even know anymore.
I think it's nice to
I
have
have one
just
of my
kind of
cooler at the place. Right
I mean,
now.
like I
We're
think they're cool, but I don't know if like the kids think they're cool
I'm
anymore.
kind of
I don't know
because
if
we
it would be-
never run out.
Yeah, that's the
I've
thing.
never zero.
Is it a 5-gallon, like a small Firkin?
Well, that's a pinner, and then
Yeah.
the Firkins like the regular
Yeah,
size.
you can call that all.
I think the thing is people gotta know that you're gonna have it.
We
But
did
then
Firkin Fridays. People came out. We give them a free pint glass and let them fill it up and
Yeah.
pay for the beer. If you bought a beer, we gave the pint glass for free. But
Thought about it here, but I don't know if this is the audience
It
right
doesn't
for
care.
that.
Yeah, I can see
maybe
that.
just don't have enough
Honeybrook's
people
not a
yet.
Firkin town.
Maybe for a
Well, it's more like a. It's like a.
It's
you
a
know,
Firkin awesome town, but I mean, like it doesn't.
Hey.
it is. Maybe for an event. we
There
might.
you go.
You know, when you already have people out here,
No.
Halloween? Could do that.
you could have a pumpkin Firkin.
You said it.
No,
You had to say it.
I wasn't gonna go there, but
Firkin pumpkin.
Candy corn Firkin.
Yeah, there you go.
actually,
Believe me, he's so anti-punk. He's like, I'll maybe brew 5 gallons. It's like he was so mad. It's like, I'll do 5 gallons for that night only.
Well, because after Halloween, who the hell wants pumpkin beer?
People
Yeah,
want
it's
people
true.
want it in
Southern-
August now. It's like
Southern tier,
it's
that's
like
who.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like Christmas. It's like
Yeah.
the shit goes up at Home Depot before like Labor Day even
Well,
comes.
it's like pumpkin might as well be a year-round beer. Like,
yeah,
pretty
just
much.
leaves the
Always
shelves
there.
in January, comes back in like June.
I'm good for
Yeah.
like a half of one, and I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, I've had some pumpkin beers I've liked. Not
Yeah.
many.
And that it goes back to what I said earlier. If it's good beer, it's a good beer.
Yeah.
But it's
But I also
overdone
feel
and
like-
oversaturated, and a lot of them aren't good. They're
Like,
just jumping on a
speaking of
trend.
what the cool kids like, I kind of feel like pumpkin beers are starting to wane. Like, people aren't, like, super into them like they used to be.
I kind of get what Corey said. Like he's like, I'll make a pumpkin, I'll make 5 gallons, and I'll sell it on Halloween only.
Yeah.
And if I can't do a Halloween party, I try their pumpkin beer. I'd have one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then I drink IPA or
Yeah.
whatever else you want to drink all day.
Yeah, just one to say that you had it kind of deal, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But I don't want to be sitting on kegs and kegs and kegs.
No.
of pumpkin.
No, it's like
beer.
holiday spice beers after the holidays. Like they just
Yeah.
sit there and you have to discount them, and yeah, they just kind of deteriorate.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they're boozy enough and you can age it, maybe I'll get into
Yeah. Save it for the next year.
There's that aging
or,
again.
Put it in a Firkin.
Yeah.
Put it in a friggin'.
Fuck
it, put it in a friggin'.
Exactly. It's like duct tape. No, fuck it. Put it in a Firkin.
Well, we got one more on the paddle here on the flight.
This is the West Coast,
West Coast.
IPA. This is what IPA used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So we, I think we just tapped this today. What day's today? Friday.
Friday.
It is Friday.
Yes, it is.
Not quite the
yeah.
13th.
Are we getting down on Friday though?
It's Friday the 12th.
That's a long straight
Friday.
Yeah. So this is the second time we brewed this. We tweaked the recipe a little bit, added a little bit more hops, bumped up the ABV a little bit on this puppy. Yeah, most of our beer names are named after songs for the most part. I mean, we have 322 Pale Ale, which is pretty self-explanatory. Autumn, for the brown ale that we thought would be, good for this time of year. Subby, short for Suburban. But then maybe so, maybe not. That's his Fish song, which... Is that on? I don't know. Okay, All Right is a Mo song. Willie is our Scottish ale, so it's Groundkeeper Willie.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Guten Zeiten is just Good Times, which is my nickname in college. Corey Good Times Ross. And then
That's the first time I heard this.
That's a good nickname.
And then Copycat Kolsch, which is a variation of our China Cat Kolsch. But, Love Light, Sunshine, Here Comes Sunshine, they're all dead tunes.
We had Left Hand and Monkey Wrench. We had
Another dead tune.
Here Comes Sunshine. What else we had? Did we Let It Grow? I don't know.
See, when you said Monkey Wrench, I thought you meant Foo Fighters.
Oh, Bird Song.
Birdsong was a dead tune.
So it's mostly dead songs, with a couple others thrown in there.
Yeah,
We
Fish
pepper a couple
or,
other
or
ones
Mo,
in
or we had Day Tripper, which is originally
Day
a
Tripper.
Beatles song.
Yeah.
Dead played it a couple times. Lazy Lightning coming up. We'll have a Hoppy Saison coming up next week. Yeah, so we'll see what happens when we once we start canning. If we have any infringements or anything.
Did he say canning?
I was
Did he ever canning?
gonna eventually
let's
ask.
let's talk
but
about that.
what-
Did I say
what's
that?
what's the situation with that?
So are we doing packaging? We're doing distributing? What are we doing? We're taking over
Speaking
the
of
world.
packages,
off of a one-barrel
Yeah.
system?
Taking over the world.
Yeah, we're taking baby steps here, but yeah, we're trying to figure out how to, because we know that just being so far out here, especially on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, that people want to come out here, especially families too, where they maybe only have one or two and have lunch, and they want to head home. We'll take a 4-pack or an 8-pack or a case or a growler. So, we want to be able to provide that. So we understand that that's a good source of revenue.
Yeah.
So we want to get there, and that's kind of an expectation to some extent.
Yeah.
Of you go to a brewery and it's funny talking to people and talking to Mike, the bartender here, and people don't give a shit if you're a 1-barrel. They want beer to go.
Right.
They don't understand that you only
Sick of
brew
the
2 kegs at a
excuses. They
time.
don't get it when you're out.
It doesn't.
Why are you out?
Doesn't translate. So we want to make sure that we have beer to go, and it's up to us to make sure we're catching up. Thank you.
So you guys just started doing growlers. Do you have crowlers, or do you think that's in your future?
We're trying to figure out if it makes sense to crowler them ourselves and put the labor in it, or like we said, we're going to try to ramp up production.
Right. Cans,
so if we go to a 10-barrel system or so, or then we could do the mobile can and they come and do it for us.
Yeah.
Or do we invest and do it ourselves?
Right.
Or do we sit here with the
2-head filler and a seamer and kind of
drink beer and
do it very manually,
like
other breweries have.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, we've talked a lot about crowlers, which have sort of like slowly taken over for growlers in the past couple of years. I don't actually know what that costs. Like, both for the machine and the
so for the machine itself.
the cans.
But somewhere along the way, somebody had also mentioned that it's supposedly better for the environment. But if you reuse a growler, you were not using aluminum that needs to be recycled and then broken back down to
it's
be
definitely
reused.
better for the beer.
For the beer, yeah.
It depends. I mean, if you're bottom filling it, so.
I mean, you've got the engineering degree,
and stuff.
so.
I mean, yes. In my enginering experience,
Oh, you're an environmental
professor.
I'm also an environmental scientist. No, but seriously, I mean, the environment is a big deal to us, and in my restaurant and stuff, and in here we reclaimed as much as we could, and try not to do anything that's caustic to the environment or whatever.
Well, materially and water-wise. I mean, breweries
we
use a lot of water, so we try to reuse as much as we can. So
like Phyllis is, when he's transferring and cooling the water he's cooling the beer with, he's putting back into the liquor tank or whatever. So we try to recycle as much as we can. And at the restaurant, I did the same thing. It's like, so to your question about crowlers and growlers and stuff, my initial thought was to keep it all in growlers.
Yeah, to me that makes sense.
It made a lot of sense to me. One, in an entrepreneur way, it was like, hey, you're buying so if I buy a growler and it costs me $5, I sell it to you for $6. I made $1. Okay, so we made $1. It's advertised, and you have it in your garage or in your basement or whatever, and you come back and you refill it. And I didn't have to buy a machine to do it. I don't have to buy the cans. I don't have to store the cans and stuff like that. And it's still a big thing, but everybody wants these cans. And I get it. Because it gives, you don't have to sign on to 64 ounces of one beer.
You also then have 32-ounce growlers.
Exactly. So that's our, right now, contribute to hopefully people getting that part of it. And even if we sell the glass at cost and fill it, it's going to save us money because we don't have to buy the crowler, the actual machine. Yeah. You don't have to buy the sticker, the label, and it's all, to me, it's all wasteful. But sometimes you got to do what the market dictates, regardless.
Yeah.
So we prefer you to use a refillable. It's just like Nalgene's or anything like that. Why use bottled water? I don't sell bottled water at the restaurant. We don't sell bottled water here. If our water is good enough to drink or to brew it, it's good enough to drink out of the tap. We all grew up as kids drinking out of a hose. If I had my druthers, I'd love everybody to use a recycled growler.
Well, I feel like, given the fact that this, like you've said, and we've seen this is like a neighborhood bar kind of feel here, I think that is the market for a growler. I think growlers are for people that are like traveling to breweries.
True.
And I want to take this home and save it for a month and then drink it.
I mean, just like Corey went all the way up to Maine.
If you're taking it home to drink
came
this
back
weekend.
And hit breweries all the way up to Maine and all the way back. And I want to do the same thing. I
Yeah.
want to take beer to go, but you're not going to buy.
But if you're
50
buying
growlers,
yeah,
you know,
if you're buying like
how
I
many
want to
brewers
have
did you
beer to
go
have tomorrow, then a growler's fine. If you want a beer in 2 months, then you want a growler.
No, I mean I like a mixture of both, and I think the more we think about it, it almost makes sense for us to do it in house because
Yeah.
we can control that
Yeah.
volume and do stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a market for it. You know,
Yeah.
in the money market, it seems like yes, we can make a lot more money if we can.
Yeah.
But you know, we care, and
It's a tough balance.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know. We're going to do a mixture of the two, and you know, the people that want to come and stay green, you're going to fill their growler.
Yeah.
And now we have 32 ounces. That's 2 beers. You know,
Yep.
you know,
Plus, you can put it on display at home too. Like you said, you know,
Right.
if it's in the garage and it's branding, it's marketing that's in somebody's home, then you
Christ.
just sold them the
My
growler.
wife, I think if I come home with another growler, my wife will like.
Well, that's the thing.
Well,
right?
yeah,
Almost
yeah,
like
my
pint
house.
glasses. Like you have a shitload of growlers.
I've got like 7 or 8
And I mean,
growlers.
where the
and
hell do you store 'em?
These are hand blown by Eric, who obviously is
Yeah,
a glass
engineered the
blower.
design
Studio.
himself.
Who,
That's nostril air blowing.
Nostril. Oh wow!
And he painted
You
them
charge
too.
extra for
wow. I didn't even know you could blow glass with your
You
nose.
just see what I do with my left nostril.
Wow. All right.
that. So if anybody
That just
wants to
sounded
find Suburban Brewing online, where should
they
they go?
are on the internet. They are
All
at
right, check please.
Punch out, man.
Check please.
suburbanbrewingco.com. They are on that Facebook app that all the kids are using.
All the
as,
kids. Well, not so much anymore, but
Suburban Brewing Co. They are also on Instagram.
The Target demo is on Facebook,
Yeah.
but the kids are on the gram.
The kids are on the gram. On the gram, they are Suburban_Brewing_Co.
Okay.
You can find them. That's all the places they are on the internet.
That's news to me.
As far as I know.
Are we on?
I don't know. That's what your website said, man. That's where I got these notes from.
I agree. I mean, I just don't know how to answer
It better be. I've been tagging
Absolutely.
that all night.
Absolutely. That's where we're at.
Fat grams.
Factual.
Don't forget, come out October 27th.
Yes, the Halloween event.
For the Halloween party. Carve pumpkins. Wear a costume. Also, we forgot to mention, this is coming out the 19th.
Yes, so
If
as
you-
of now, tomorrow.
Yeah, if you were listening to this episode the day it comes out, we are going to be at the Reading Liederkranz tomorrow for their cool event where you can drink some home brews that Steph made.
Yeah, Steph and Ron and Eric brewed Pilsner and something else that she never actually said.
I think it's a Helles.
Is it a Helles?
I don't remember.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, you can come out. Homebrew samples are free. There's a charge for the commercial brewing. Steph usually does this plug. I don't remember the details.
We should have been prepared.
But yeah, totally come out to the Liederkranz tomorrow. There's going to be good food, going to be good beer. We're going to be there recording a podcast. We're going to have people on. We're going to have Carol Stout on, which is going to be
right.
cool.
Yes, I'm
she's never
excited
been
for
on the
that.
podcast
Yeah.
before.
Wow.
She's one of the people who inspired Steph to brew
She's
beer,
really cool.
who turned
Yeah,
around
so
and
we've heard
inspired us
Her
to do
and
this
her husband are
podcast.
great.
Yeah.
Pioneer.
You could say this podcast would not exist if it weren't for Carol
That's
Stout.
true.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna talk to her. It's
And
gonna be awesome.
she still goes out. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
she came to our
She was
restaurant
at meeting in the
a couple
malls.
months ago. I mean,
and doing the whole thing,
shaking
yeah.
hands, saying, "Hey, how you doing?" You
Yeah,
know, she's
awesome.
pretty
Old
cool.
school, OG, original Pennsylvania craft beer, Stouts Brewing Company.
Yes.
But yeah, check out Suburban Brewing. Check out Beer Busters. We are at Beer Busters on Twitter and Instagram. On that Facebook app we talked about, we are Beer Busters Podcast. And of course, there's beerbusterspodcast.com where you can find articles, reviews, all kinds of good stuff. I'm taking over Dan's job.
Just going to let him go.
I don't know where the button is to
Top right.
end the episode. Don't forget,
Missing a couple things,
805-991-BEER, 805-991-2337. Call us. Leave us a message. Go to Patreon.
It's not 805-2337. It's 805-991-2337.
805-991-2337. Leave us a message. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/beerbusters to sign up to become a patron
So
of
you
the
can
podcast.
stick around for last call.
Stick around for last call. We're going to break out a bottle of something that's barrel-aged or something other. It's going to be awesome.
Barrel. This Imperial.
It's
Imperially
Imperial.
awesome.
Keg-8.
There we go. That I can get.
Keg-8.
It's got a lot of alcohol.
You were so
Unfortunately,
close. You were so close.
we really missed Steph this episode, but
Steph, get
I
better.
am Wayne Baker, joined by my co-host
Dan Baker.
Thanks so much, guys, for having us out here at Suburban Brewing
Great
Company.
having you here. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
We had a great time. No squids were harmed in the making of this episode. We will see you next time.
He just found out we're brothers.
Mind blown.
Oh, yeah.
You said you lived together. I know you're brothers.
Hey, man.
Squids.
You know what I do?
do you
I
do?
manually masturbate caged animals for artificial insemination.
What the fuck?